It is 6:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Titans gear up for joint practice with the Arizona Cardinals on Wednesday. The teams have decided to not have a joint session on Thursday as originally planned. Rookie wide receiver Kyle Phillips told Ramon and Will yesterday that joint practices have proven to be very competitive.
Those joint practices are really like a game. Each time we go out there, it's not just simply practice. Let's run our plays, let's do this, let's execute. There's a little pride to it. It's our team versus those teams, so it definitely made practice a little bit more fun and competitive.
Titans waived 4 players yesterday. Wide receiver Terry Godwin, also outside linebacker Justin Lawler, cornerback Shakur Brown, and defensive back Shaheen Carter. NFL teams must have their rosters cut down from 85 to 80 players by the end of today. Braves defeated the Pirates 2-1. Yankees defeated the Mets 4-2. Braves 3 games behind the Mets in the NL East. And Nolensville just 1 win away from the U.S. Championship game in the Little League World Series. After a rain delay of more than 2 hours, Nolensville beat Hagerstown, Indiana 5-2. In 7 innings. Roy Foundation Repair and Waterproofing needs. Visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
A very good Tuesday morning to you in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got offensive linemen moving positions. We've got Tennessee trying to get wide receivers eligible. And we've got audio adrenaline in the form of one Ronald Sylvester Slay right here on 104.5 The Zone. Alongside 11-year NFL veteran Ramon Foster, my name is Will Bowling. Jonathan Schaefer, the best producer in the world, hitting all the right buttons this morning. The number is 615-737-1045. The show is Ramon and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, William. How are you this AM? Oh, and black, in a black shirt this morning,
you are too? Yeah,
hey,
we're matching.
I put on my Bill Dance hat, though, today.
There you go.
It's Vol Tuesday somewhat, man.
I mentioned to you that we were planning our week and, talking about what we were doing next week, and we've gotten to the point where Tennessee football is a part of the very immediate schedule.
Yeah.
Of hey, we're going to do this next week. And then then the Vols play.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was all the motivation you needed to just throw on the power tee today.
Ready to go today.
Right,
Plus planning on this Florida trip. Oh, hey, Sprinter van is coming together. I don't think it's going to be ready by the Florida game. I don't think it's gonna be ready by the.
It's all right.
By the Florida game, but it's coming together. It's gonna be nice.
Woo! I'm excited.
I thought it was gonna be a she after that, Shafe.
Jonathan Schaefer, good morning.
What is happening, fine people?
How are you?
I'm great.
Great. I've got one night down of the Atlanta Braves beating the Pittsburgh Pirates, so condolences. I know you're just really torn up about that.
Are we really? Are you ever upset about that, Shay?
No.
I'm talking about I spend late nights in that place just enjoying the park.
Yeah, I've often gone to PNC Park to enjoy the park.
We don't even mention. Will thought he was taking a shot.
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm trying to turn it into a thing because I want to enjoy it a little bit.
Oh, I
want to have the added motivation of watching it.
Never forget.
I'm the captain now.
That's right.
Will, listen to me. Beautiful ballpark, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Team? Not so much.
That's the best view from a broadcast booth in baseball, according to most broadcasters.
I'm telling you.
There and San Francisco are the two.
No, I'm San Diego, dog.
San Diego, too. I've been there.
You've been there, too?
Uh-huh. I think I've done 7 ballparks.
You've done 7?
I sang the national anthem in Petco Park.
Get the hell out of here.
Not by myself, but I have.
Dude.
I did that twice at Three River Stadium.
Did you really?
School choir.
You lying?
Yeah, church choir.
Get out.
School choir did it twice.
Mm-hmm. Nobody invited me.
Sang with the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra once.
No, one of my old teammates was on the board of directors for the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra.
The more you know.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of you two degenerates. I can't.
It was a choir of 2,000 kids from Western PA.
2,000? Holy.
Yeah.
Wow.
We performed at the Civic Arena.
You could have messed up the words and nobody would have known.
Yeah.
So it was funny. When I did that, I was obviously a big Braves fan at that point, and I tried to wear my Braves hat on the field.
Did you?
And this one guy
You're
was
that guy?
Braves weren't even playing either. I was that guy. I was in 8th grade. And we get down there.
You mean yesterday?
Yeah, that's right. It was a couple weeks ago, actually. Did y'all not know I was on vacation for that? right after I got my learner's permit. And so we went down there and we sang "In the Home of the Brave," and I put an S on the end of it and was like, I'm so cool.
Yeah, you're that guy.
I can't believe I'm sitting in a room with that type of guy this morning, man. Because
honestly, because I hate that guy now.
Wait, here we go. All right. At the Braves game this weekend, okay? Just blatantly out of nowhere. We're sitting in our seats and this dude walks by. They're playing the Astros, okay?
Yep.
It's the Astros
bang on
that
any
they're
trash
playing,
cans while you were
okay? Some dude in there with a random Boston Red Sox jersey.
See,
I'm
I
like,
hate that so much.
dude, what? You were just that guy,
Well,
though.
no, not a jersey. A hat is different.
I was like,
you can nonchalantly wear a hat as like this is something I wear all the time. Which at that age I was like I wore my Braves hat all the time.
Oh, okay, respect. Okay, I get that. Then.
But if you're going out of your way to wear a jersey that's not even playing in the game, I don't want to be friends with you.
That's what.
Even though I did that at a Nashville SC game like within the last 2 months. Soccer's different though because you can represent teams that aren't on this continent.
But you know, it's like everybody's looking at you, and at least I think. So, what is your mindset when a guy walks by at a Titans game
wearing a Steelers jersey and you're playing the Bears?
Yeah. What's your first thought?
I hate you, and I don't want you to be here.
Yeah, that's pretty much. There was
how one game I think I saw because I tweeted it out at the time. It was like 2018, and I counted. Yeah. The amount of jerseys of other teams that were in Nissan Stadium at a game I was at. And I think it was like 7 or 8.
Different team jerseys.
For a regular season game. This is not preseason or this is not like a bowl game.
We've gone somewhere with somebody recently. I forget where we were going. And we were going to a sporting event and somebody tried to put on like a different jersey. Yeah. I was like, nah, nah, this ain't that, okay? Yeah. Like we're not about to do that because all I can think of is the Oakland Raiders like black hole where they will beat the crap out of you for stuff like that. And I'm like, nah.
The one thing I did do is I was in Atlanta actually, not this summer but the last summer. Well, once you hear the second part of the story, you'll understand why. Because when Tennessee played their first College World Series game, last summer, I was at a Braves game, and there was like a doubleheader, and my dad was like, "Oh, I've got like this like off-white UT jersey with me," and I was like baseball jersey, and I was like, "All right, I'll rock that."
Buy in.
Yeah. Thanks, I hate it. Twist my arm. Oh wow, there it is. That's my voice. Thanks, I hate it. Oh, that's fantastic. I really don't hate that though. I actually enjoy that. Jonathan Schaefer hates it. 615-737-1045. If fudge is great. Oh, wow. I'm now going to have to get used to that a little bit. Fudge is great.
Fudge is great.
It's my favorite dessert.
Michael Tench just said in the zone chat, and it's always a thing. Just last year at the 49ers game, there was a whole crew of Steelers fans. I promise y'all, I didn't buy those tickets, okay?
Thanks, I hate it. that one was actually me. Oh, God. Thanks, I hate it. That's the worst.
There's nothing. Because that group, that person, those people always just draw attention to themselves.
Yeah, they 100% do.
Even if I'm a fan of what they're wearing, I'm still like, really?
They're the kind to be a part of an official fan club. In a city which is that I guess that's not bad in and of itself, but do less.
G from T-Town is right though. Steeler fans do travel well.
Unfortunately, they do.
When you see all those Steelers jerseys in opposing stadiums, you know what that just means? That's a satellite campus. That's all right.
1045 The Zone TV is where you can watch the show. Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitter. Since there's a lot of Stillers around me. I did say that right though. It is Stillers.
That's right. Good job. I'm proud of you.
But there's Stiller, Ben.
Well, I'll say this though. Last year during that Rams game, that LA game, the reviews we got and calls we got from Net said the Titans fans travel well.
Maybe one of the better Titans representations in another market.
It's because all of them have moved here, and I guess just went back to do laundry and visit their relatives, and went to SoFi Stadium.
That's true.
I'll tell you what though. I think for the Chargers in SoFi Stadium when the Titans play them, I think the Chargers have to be the smallest fan base in the NFL.
The Chargers, but there's
that one's going to be even worse. I think.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't know anybody that's just like a brash just Chargers fan.
There are no Chargers fans. They don't
I know
exist.
one.
Well, who are
from
they?
Tennessee.
Dan? Do you know? You know one?
I
I don't
know
because they
one.
don't exist.
They don't exist.
They definitely don't in L.A.
And then now
They did in San Diego,
They did
but
in
not
San
anymore.
Diego. They did in San Diego, man. Dane Ryder said, I wear my Pat Tillman jersey to every Titans game.
That one I will allow.
That's okay?
That one I will allow.
It's still
Well, that's because it's Tillman.
okay. All right. Say
There
less.
are
And
like
Coach
a
Mack
couple.
signed off on
There are
it.
a couple players that like if you're rocking that player, like old school players.
Okay.
Like okay, that's acceptable.
Yeah, and if it's a historic player, like if somebody was in a Chicago Bears Gale Sayers jersey or like a Jim Brown jersey, and I know it's the Browns, that's
you know
different.
I was going to go there.
That's
I'm
different.
not
That's
really
different.
the guy that tells fans what to wear at games because
No,
I don't like
not
being
at
the guy that cries don't wear that because that's just like I don't have the time and energy to care about
Being
what you're wearing.
contrarian, though.
But this is one thing that I save my energy for and crusade against. So.
See, okay, with that being said, though, I will admit the one acceptable move I absolutely love
Okay.
is watching college football and seeing a random orange Tennessee jersey in the
Oh,
stand.
absolutely. It happens all the time too.
That's the one
Double
place.
standard? Absolutely.
It
We
is.
absolutely have double
That's
standards.
the one place in my heart I'm like, look at that great American right
That's
there.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
no doubt, Will. And this is cool because it's freaking football season.
It really football's back.
We're here.
That's that's one of my favorite pardon my take bits when they're just like, oh, it was 5 degrees cooler this morning when I woke up, so football is back.
It was this morning, man.
Football. I haven't heard that one before. Football. That's right. Dan Levitard Show. Thank you. That's what Jonathan Schaefer's school choir sounded like back in the day, too, in harmony together.
We were way more in tune.
That sounded not bad.
So we're going to do a radio show for
By
4
the way,
hours
how
today.
dare you take a shot at Keystone High School, you freak? Private school snot.
You're drinking Keystone Light over
hey.
at Keystone High School?
Whatever's wet.
Man, I don't like how you disparage public school, man. I don't appreciate
It's your day, I guess.
it. Yeah, I can make it yours
615-737-1045. Coming up today.
Hey, boy.
Hold that.
So it's a good thing that I'm sitting next to an 11-year NFL veteran
Yeah.
who played guard in the NFL because Tennessee Titans had a player that was a right tackle going into Saturday who's
I
now
was
playing
a
guard.
Left. No, I was a right tackle in college.
Uh-huh.
Turned left guard also.
So it's almost like you know what you're talking about when it comes to why Dylan Radins is moving inside. We're going to talk about that. We're going to hear from Kyle Phillips from our conversation with him, the one defensive back that he says is the hardest to go up against. Might surprise you a little bit what he has to say there. David Boclair at 7:20. Eric Cain gives us a Tennessee report at 8:20. The latest on Brew McCoy, Tennessee, and everything going on with that. And then skip the extra cup of coffee in the 9 o'clock hour because Ron Slay will be here and you're not going to need it. And that's the show. It's going to fly by. Don't blink. You just might miss it. And we'll hear from Kyle Phillips coming up next. Ramon and Will on 104.5 The Zone.
Yep, it's Titans preseason. Couple of games down already in terms of the Titans preseason. And we're going to have
Ramona Will on 104.5 The Zone, brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Dylan Radins working out with the twos at guard yesterday. Ramon Foster gives his analysis on what needs to change for him coming off the performance against Tampa and why he is better suited as a guard. Talk with Kyle Phillips, Tennessee Titans rookie wide receiver, coming up here in just a couple of minutes. So you were on this take before anybody. So I want to commend you, first of all. You're not going to pat yourself on the back, so I'll reach around there and do it for you. And
no reach arounds on this show.
Okay. All right. It's 6:22 a.m. Let's pace ourselves.
Should we keep that too? There would be no reach around.
It's interesting. So why originally did you see Dylan Radins as a guard before he even played a snap in the NFL?
Because of his feet. Because I didn't think he was quick enough to play on the outside edge. As far as his run time and speed and stuff, I thought it was fine. I knew he was an athlete. I knew he wasn't a big, lumbersome guy, but he moved that way a little bit too. And understanding that edge, man, that of rushers that that you see week in and week out in the NFL, you got to have a specific body type or an edge to your play that allows you to play that position. Like what people are failing to realize now, like the game has changed as far as rushers go. I watched T.J. Watt get a sack over the right tackle. Like it's not necessarily your left tackles that are getting the best edge rushers. No. Why would I send my best rusher over against your best blocker when I know this right tackle is not up to par? And that's why I looked at him and said, I didn't think his technique was as good as needed to be. And I said, give him time, he'll learn it. Now it's just of the mindset that I thought his body was more fit to be inside because he, to me, played more square. Now, I've been in that position too. That's the reason I'm speaking on it. I was a college tackle. I started my first game at left guard because I was one of the best six, and the coaches felt comfortable with me playing it. But I knew my feet weren't fast enough. I couldn't get out of my stance quick enough to get on those outside linebackers who are now
too slow.
That's facts. That's a reality of it, though. But in the right system, at the right place, at the right position, you can still flourish. And that's one thing I need him to understand. Look, you're an athlete. You're just not that type of an athlete. Sure. Tackles these days, man, specifically, look at Trent Williams. Let's just use him. And Taylor.
Yeah.
Slender, longer arm guys. Bakhtiari is the same exact thing. Long arm guys, quick with their feet, long bodies, long arms, able to get into space and be comfortable.
Right.
I never saw Dylan Radins be comfortable in space. Now, listen, you can also fake it or be good enough, okay, to where I can 1-2 set out to you. But then if I'm turning the entire time, if I like to say opening the gate, meaning I drop my outside leg and let the DN rush up the field, you're not going to end up being an outside tackle.
Sure.
You're not going to end up being a tackle. And that's what, not all the time, but that's what consistently shows up with him at that position. Now, look at the other side. If you guys want to go back and look at the TV copy, or if you have the NFL Plus now to watch the games, look at the way NPF sets. It's like a tackle. He's long and rangy and athletic enough to where, and strong enough too. That was a thing for Dylan Radins coming out. It's like he's got to get stronger. NPF has come out so far now. He sets 1-2 punch, and he's comfortable guiding guys. His arms, he knows how to punch 1-2. Again, if he wins this position, he's going to have his growing pains still because nothing can prepare you for Von, walk and go, Jack and Miller, okay? Nothing can prepare you for that. They're going to help him. They're going to move tight ends around to him, and hopefully enough so that they won't have to dedicate the entire game. But you remember, I've always felt more comfortable seeing NPF since we saw him at right tackle than I have Dylan Radins.
It's interesting because Nicholas Petit-Frere doesn't have to learn how to keep you at an arm's length because based on his intangibles and his frame, he can already do so day one. Has the body, has the frame of an NFL right tackle and a Power 5, high-level Ohio State blue blood right tackle.
I heard him talk yesterday. I think Buck, he was interviewed by a bunch of folks yesterday. Shout out to Buck, shout out to Ron Davenport also. And just hearing him speak about, look, I'm okay with making mistakes. I'm okay with learning on the curve.
Yeah, he's trained to say the right things.
Vrabel has gotten to him, hasn't it? I was like,
definitely. Those Ohio State guys, man.
But everything that they said, and I hate to even say this, but very intellectual guy.
Yeah.
Not as in like a nerd aspect, but in the sense of
not too smart.
Not because you got to be a savage too. Okay,
that's right.
Got to watch those transcripts.
His transcript is damn good, from my understanding. Okay, but he's a smart, cerebral kid.
Sure.
And when you pair that up with technique, size, and he has some nastiness to him, if you're going to pick a Division II lineman, he better be friggin' phenomenal.
You got to be mean, too.
I'm talking about mean.
Really mean.
You can't
You can be way too nice as a tackle.
Yes, you can. Okay.
One double A. Let's get it right.
And one double A. Sorry about that. We'll get more into that, too, because, again, I've been in this position that Radens has, and it's unsettling, Will.
I imagine it's hard to not see it as an insult. You're being moved around a little
Listen to me, man. It's a chin check. Like, yeah. We'll dive deeper into that one because I know we got Kyle Phillips coming up and somebody on the line too. Goodness.
Yeah, let's go to John in the Burrows. Got a question for you about all this stuff. What's going on, John?
What's up, John?
Morning, fellas. Will, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
I haven't actually got to call in and welcome you in yet. Ramon, everybody here knows your story, man. Knows you were an undrafted rookie free agent. Knows that you had a great career with Pittsburgh. You did something most players don't get to do. You had a long career, and you had it all with the same team. My boss says this all the time. He says, sometimes your best isn't good enough. You have to do what the business requires. Mm-hmm. All right? So sometimes you have to do more than what you think is your best. I want to know, out of all these guys coming in camp that aren't early draft picks, so take first through 4 out of it, first through 5 out of it.
Yeah.
Who do you look at it and you see that reminds me of me?
Yeah. Oh man, great freaking question. I think off top, just because I saw him running with the ones, Chance Campbell. Chance. He's doing stuff that you ask him to do, meaning making plays when given an opportunity. A late round guy, right? That was selected by the Titans that don't know he's going to make the team, but is doing enough right now that'll tell you, look, if you continue to do what we ask you to do, have a knack for the ball, don't have many MEs, make your way on special teams. Like, I think we know who the starters are going to be at that position. That's the obvious take. But this is a guy, Chance Campbell, that can stick around for a while simply because he's doing what the coaches are asking him to. I've seen him show up on game days. I've seen him show up in practice. You see him running with the ones. Like, that is a great test too.
Yeah, he's had to.
Where are my reps at?
David Long and Zach Cunningham have not played these games, and Monty Rice is out on the PUP list, and all the different moves they've had to make at that position. It's been him and Jack Gibbons. And
see, those are the guys that are popping up. You're just like, all right, he could be the one, man. And Chance to me is he's that guy that if he stays on course, he could have a long career here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, one guy who has, I think, been the most impressive rookie so far for the Tennessee Titans in training camp, I don't think there's any question at this point, is Kyle Phillips, who talks with us. And you might be surprised to hear what he has to say about the toughest defensive back to go up with right now at Titans training camp. Take us through the film process and what you take away from Tampa Bay the other night. I know Mike Vrabel was complimentary of your skills in the return game, but what's the biggest thing you took away from the way you played there?
The biggest thing I took away is I think is just that I need to improve in the run game a little bit. There's a few plays I wish I had back. Could have made a little bit better blocks, but overall I'm pretty happy with the game.
Are you tired of snatching ankles, man? Just simply put, dog, like you line up, and I don't know if they're trying to underestimate you or they don't think you're as fast as you are, shifty, but like, do you have ankles like hung up in your room at this point?
Yeah, and it never gets old. I love it every time.
So you do take pride in this, man. But the way you set guys up, what actually got you to this point in which you run your routes? Because that's been the most unique thing other than your return game. And we'll get to that in a second. But where did that actually start from? And how do you go about building on top of that?
Yeah, well, from an early age, I knew I wasn't going to be the biggest guy. So in order to play receiver, I had to have good just route running. So from early age, just what I focused on. I've been lucky enough to along the way have a lot of great coaches and mentors to kind of show me the ropes of running routes, stems, releases, and just everything like that. And so each level I get at, I find a new person. Up here right now it's Robert Woods, and he's been helping me out along the way as well.
And Kyle, Rob Moore, your wide receivers coach, has already called you the professor through this training camp. Kind of take us through that studying process. When you're watching film, are you self-evaluating? Are you watching other wide receivers in the league? What's that process like for you?
Yeah, I'd definitely say it's a little bit of both. You could always learn something from other people, and then just in the self-study, what we do here is, we're not watching just for the results of, did we get in the end zone or not? It's, how we did it. It's the process of doing it the right way every time and just, really grading ourselves based on that.
Tell me more about what Robert Woods has talked to you about. You guys have a young room there and those wide receivers with Traylon, with you, with Nick and Racy. How instrumental has Robert been in kind of helping bring you guys along?
Oh, it's been huge. Obviously the playbook coming in as rookies is very difficult to pick up, but, he's been able to give us little tidbits here and there, to simplify the offense and just allow us to play faster each week.
As far as your time here in Tennessee, being a new pro, just what's been the biggest adjustment? Is everybody that you're playing against up to par? I know, we got the story of the headline about you were cooking everybody in practice, and Kevin Byard finally said, enough is enough. How has that adjustment been with you going against him and just, Christian Fulton and Caleb Farley? What has that been like, as opposed to college?
Yeah, no, and in college, you're best of the best. Obviously, you're going up, you're dominating, winning every rep, whereas here, you're going to have to take some licks, you're going to have to take some losses, but be able to bounce back the next rep and go get a win. So that's kind of been the biggest thing, but it's been good throughout practice going against KB and all those guys. They've done nothing but, make me a better football player.
Kyle Phillips with us here on 104.5 The Zone. What did you learn through the experience of your first joint practice, going up against somebody else in training camp versus your own team? What was kind of the biggest thing you took away from last week in those two practices in particular?
I'd say the biggest thing I took away is that those joint practices are really like a game. Each time we go out there, it's not just simply practice. Let's run our plays, let's do this, let's execute. There's a little pride to it. It's our team versus those teams, so it definitely made practice a little bit more fun and competitive.
And you haven't been able to share the field in preseason with Ryan Tannehill, but you were able to in those joint practices, of course, and kind of getting that game feel. How much more comfortable are you with what Ryan wants from you and kind of that process and that relationship coming along at this point of camp?
Oh, yeah, no, I feel very comfortable with him, even just from being in meetings with him. He lets us know exactly what he wants done from us, how he wants the route to look, what spot we need to be in, and even, releases, how much time we have on it. So he's really able to simplify for us everything and give us a direct answer of what we need to do and kind of where we need to be.
When it comes down to that side of the ball, offensively, yes, you're going to make your head in other ways on the field too, but the expectations you have for yourself going into the season, I'm sure you're not trying to be an offensive player that's sitting on the sideline whenever the offense is out there. What do you want for yourself this year going into this rookie season?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have any expectations right now, but I definitely obviously want to go on the field on the offensive side. And my biggest thing is, I want to help this team win however I can, whether it's in the run game, pass game, or return game. Really anything I can do to help us win some games, that's what I'm here for, and that's what I'm going to do.
So from one quarterback to another, I asked you about Ryan Tannehill. What about Malik Willis? How have you seen him maybe take a step forward? What have you learned in just kind of working with him about the way he operates?
Oh, yeah, he's been making just huge strides each week, and biggest thing with him is, he's just a playmaker, whether it's with his arms or his legs, the play's not dead until it's blown dead with him. He can make something happen every play.
So Craig Ackerman says that he really likes your vertical speed. Not a lot of dancing around, not a lot of moving side to side. And I wanted to ask you about the tempo at UCLA, playing for Chip Kelly. I got to imagine you've got to make a lot of pretty quick decisions in playing in an offense that moves as quickly as your guys did in college. How did that tempo specifically kind of prepare you to make those quick decisions and play with such confidence and speed in that moment in the NFL?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's a school in the country that could have prepared me more than UCLA. The coaches over there did a great job, and yeah, like you said, in that offense, we got a lot of option routes. We got to make split decisions real quick, and so obviously that was a little difficult at first, but as time was going, it started to become more natural to me and just become a part of my game. And then in terms of the return game, the vertical returns, that's what we did at UCLA. Had another great coach there in Deshaun Foster, and he got me really prepared. And now I just, feel comfortable back there, whether it's a punt return or a wide receiver on offense.
It happens to most young guys, and where you see talent, being in the league and stuff like that, to where when you've had a good game, good week, or the coaches or other players are talking about you, have you had a vet come up to you and be like, hey, young fella, you're going to be all right? Have you had that conversation yet?
No, not yet. I've got congratulated on a couple plays, but, I haven't really had a game yet where it's in, really played a great game on all sides of the ball, aspects of it, run blocking, pass game, returning. So, hopefully that's coming soon.
Yeah.
Kyle, what's it been like, man, adjusting to Nashville? How much you enjoying just kind of being a part of the many people from California that have now moved to Nashville?
I love it up here. I love country music. I love being up here. The biggest adjustment for me would probably be just the weather and humidity. Coming from San Diego, it's a little different, but so, I made practices a little bit harder, but definitely feel like I'm getting used to it now.
Now, I remember talking with your fellow UCLA alumnus, Jayon Brown, when he came here and got drafted here and said, all y'all keep talking about how you got good Mexican food. And I promise you that coming from UCLA, do we really not have that good of Mexican food at all here?
I've yet to find a spot that I like, man. And I've tried many, so I'm still searching.
Kyle, we will help you get the good spots that you need. You've come to the right place for us, but I am a little disappointed to hear that.
Please do.
Hey, Kyle, one last thing from me, man. Talking about some of these young DBs, you guys are going to battle every day with Caleb, with Christian, with Roger in your rookie class too. Who has been the toughest DB for you to battle with? I'm putting you on the spot here. In Titans training camp on the other side of the field there for you?
I would probably say, the rookie and Roger. He's very fast, very quick, physical, but, he doesn't rely on those things. He's also a technician, so he's very well-rounded, and I've gone up against him a lot, and, I'd say it's been pretty even so far, so it's always fun being able to go against him.
See, Kyle, you let Will set you up. You let him set you up right there, okay? Because the cocky side is you supposed to say, nobody.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm that dude. Like, come on, man. You don't let him. No, don't take a back seat to nobody. What are we doing here? Yeah. But Roger's been good, man. Kyle, we're impressed with you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay head down. Keep a humble approach to it. It's been fun watching you and hearing all the headlines behind you at camp, too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, so there is Tennessee Titans wide receiver Kyle Phillips. Well-spoken for a rookie. Did a good job.
He is, man. Well, we're going to get him to loosen up a little bit more. He got a little bit of that.
Got there. He got there.
What are you doing? JTP brought up, man, I'd say the professor is a decent nickname. I like that.
It's interesting. Usually when a coach calls you a know-it-all, I don't think it's a compliment. I think it was a compliment this time from Rob Moore to Kyle Phillips.
Yeah, it was.
Usually when people call me a know-it-all, it's not a compliment. Like when Jonathan Schaefer does it, probably in this break. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in this morning. Coming up, more practice takeaways. A guy in addition to Kyle Phillips who had another good day on the offense yesterday with Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans. We'll do that next. It's Ramon and Will on 104.5 The Zone.
Are you tired of working for someone who doesn't see your potential or providing you with the opportunity to grow in your industry? Yeah, that sucks, like battling for a right tackle position or something like that. It's Ramon Foster, and I know the company that can offer you the opportunity you are looking for. Listen to me, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is a small, locally owned company that's looking to get bigger, and you can be a part of that expansion. Become one of their service experts and receive. Listen to me. Only one other industry I know that offers all this is NFL. It's medical, dental, and vision benefits, matching 401k. And if you don't know, that is crucial. 2 weeks of 2 weeks of vacation after the first year, holiday pay, company and factory training, so you know exactly what you're doing, and top pay within the industry standards. You can become Spring Hill Heating and Cooling's next All-Star. Apply now at springhillac.com.
Tuesday morning with you on Ramona Will, powered by All Four Seasons on 104.5 The Zone. Kyle Phillips talking with us, and he was one of the best players at Titans practice yesterday. That's been a theme for the rookie from UCLA.
Yeah.
But in addition to him, Chigakonkwo with a good day yesterday. A couple of touchdown catches for him from Malik Willis and Ryan Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
Guy that has seen the ball in his hands in the end zone in a professional setting, although in preseason.
Yeah, in preseason.
Interesting.
And,
Players that perform well are on this show. I don't know how that happened.
That's right.
There's a standard here, Shay.
And he is moving up the ladder a little bit.
That's a good thing, man. And we're probably going to look back at this group that John Robinson's drafted this year, and Vrabel, and their scouting department. I always give credit to those guys because they're the ones behind the scene, like breaking down film, looking at players and stuff like that. But as so far, this is, I don't want to go this far, but this is 2019-esque from what I'm.
It needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is, we're looking at a wide receiver that you see even on the breakdowns. Like, man, he's there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's there as far as the spots he need to be in NPF. You know, just even when was the last time we spoke about a rookie offensive lineman moving
Coming into this franchise?
Yeah. Even that high up?
Nate Davis.
Nate.
Would have been the last one.
Nate.
2019.
Yeah, 2019.
There you go.
And we also got a cornerback out of that group.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Adori's year?
2019 was A.J. Brown and Jeffrey Simmons were the top two picks.
Okay.
And then the third pick was Nate Davis.
Nate.
And then you added Amani Hooker as well in the mid rounds there.
Was a second, about to be a second contract guy too.
Mm-hmm.
This group, even let's go Chick.
Yeah.
Let's go Kyle.
Right.
Let's go Chance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're speaking of just quality. I know a lot of people give John Robinson crap as far as, you know, his first rounders and stuff like that. But this is about as steady as you can ask of a GM with the team that's in a position that it's in right now.
So I'll tell you one guy that the Titans have drafted this year, near and dear to many hearts around the state, around the cities, Theo Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
He's in a little bit of a battle right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Injured a little bit last week, was back at practice yesterday for the Titans. Adrian Colbert, Theo Jackson, Joshua Kalu, and Lonnie Johnson. Those are the four safeties that are working out behind Kevin Byard and Amani Hooker. So out of those six players, all six of them have made plays over the past couple of games in preseason.
Kalu continues to show up.
Joshua Kalu is everywhere
He is.
against Tampa on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that position group shakes out because I think Lonnie Johnson really managed his playing time really well. Lonnie Johnson's a good player.
Just come in and just doing the job
Out
again.
of Kentucky. I mean, he's him and Colbert both, you know, young guys that have been highly thought of in this league over the past few seasons that didn't work out at their past spots this offseason. But Theo Jackson's in a little bit of a fight with those guys right now.
He is, man. And Theo started out hot. And that's what camp is, man. That's the reason camp is so friggin' long. Like, I'm not saying guys crack a fold, but some guys us in and some guys decent when you got to do the same thing over and over and over again. Well, we had that conversation of who's going to get tired first, you know, and then we're at that point in camp now where a lot of these guys that we're talking about, Kalu, you know, Theo, other safety positions, even Dylan Radins. You know, we've yet to get deeper into that conversation about the pride aspect of not losing your position, but like it's kind of rocky. A lot of these guys, and I think Vrabel spoke about it yesterday, like start to count numbers. It's 53. What an odd number, Will.
Right.
What an odd number, man. And you start saying, okay, Traylon looks like he's good. No, I know he's good. Bobby Trees is good. NWI is good.
I mean, the question's going to come down to would the Titans rather have 6 wide receivers or 5 wide receivers and either an extra defensive back or defensive linebacker.
Or linebacker.
Or
at
linebacker.
That.
That's a good point.
Like, there's a bunch of side-to-side scan. Will, listen to me. And you've been in these positions before, at least on a team where you be like, okay, where do I sit?
Yeah, right.
And a lot of guys, Will, and you know this too, man, mentally is where you got to be on this level.
Right.
Like, you have to be locked in. If you're sure of yourself, stay there.
There's a balance between self-awareness and knowing where you are, but also worrying about yourself and nobody else, and just coming and showing up for work every day and making sure that those things take care of themselves.
I have
do a little bit of both at the same
question.
time.
Sally asks, has the NFLP ever lobbied for larger rosters? Well, not necessarily, because the 53 does work. I think it's a competitive balance in having 53.
Sure.
Where we have gotten numbers, and and definitely not going to say shout out to COVID, but the COVID year expanded the practice squad.
Right.
And it also allows you to have vets on practice squads.
Protecting those four guys.
Yeah, and having guys that's 7 years in the league, cut them, put them on practice squad.
Right.
You know, that's some of the stuff that's we've all benefited from, and I actually enjoyed that aspect of what the league has done. So, and then you got to look at the overall cap when it comes down to having a bigger roster. So it really 53 forces you to make these decisions that we're talking about, Will.
Right. Let's reset the headlines when we come back and get more into the psychology of what has to happen next for Dylan Radins to either get his spot back or get a new spot at left guard for this Tennessee Titans offensive line. Plus, an AFC superstar defender has agreed to a long-term extension.
Ooh.
Guy who's been holding out. We'll do that coming up, tell you who that is, and get to hour two. Flying by on a Tuesday morning. It's Ramon and Will on 104.5 The Zone.
Mortgage interest rates are, what do we call them? A little iffy these days, okay? You just don't know what you're going to get at the time you look at your house and the time you close. But you need to get locked in today. And my friends at the Home Loan Expert, their rates are over a quarter point lower than the national average. Yes, a quarter point lower. So if you've been sitting on the fence for a few reasons, if you want to get a refi, if you haven't gotten your pre-approved home loan locked in, now is the time. And also, by refinancing your 30-year mortgage with the Home Loan Expert, you can still save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month with a simple refi. Their clients receive on average about $54,000 with a simple cash out refi at closing. So if you've been struggling with bills or debt, the cash out refi is perfect for you. And you know your home usually, unless you got a Rolls Royce or something, your home is your biggest asset. And with the home equity so high, it's the perfect time to do that. By not owing credit card companies before the holiday season kick off with those high interest rates, you're putting hundreds, if not thousands of dollars back into your pockets monthly. And the best thing about the Home Loan Expert too, they have a 10-day closing guarantee. They can answer all of your questions and make sure you are ready to close the deal. 10-day closing guarantee, only available at thehomeloanexpert.com.
7:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Titans gear up for joint practice with the Arizona Cardinals. That's set for tomorrow. The teams have decided not to have a joint session on Thursday as originally planned. Rookie wide receiver Kyle Phillips told Ramon and Will that joint practices have proven to be very competitive. Titans waived 4 players yesterday. Wide receiver Terry Godwin, outside linebacker Justin Lawler, cornerback Shakur Brown, and defensive back Shaheem Carter. NFL teams must have their rosters cut down from 85 to 80 by the end of today. Braves 2, Pirates 1 yesterday. Yankees defeated the Mets 4-2. Braves now 3 games behind the Mets in the NL East. Nolansville now just 1 win away from the U.S. Championship game in the Little League World Series after a rain delay of more than 2 hours. They rallied to beat Hagerstown, Indiana 5-2 in 7 innings. For foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2, Ramona Will at 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here in Nashville. Full squad here this morning. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, Jonathan Schaefer with you. Coming up in 15 minutes, we chat with David Boclair, SI.com, covering the Tennessee Titans. There's 3 big position battles going on right now, and I want to get his thoughts on which one surprises his the most. Punter, right tackle, or outside corner? Because I think the right tackle job is done, and I think that the corner job outside of Christian Fulton might also be done.
You think it's done too?
Roger McCreary is a guy that was taking a lot of reps with the ones again yesterday. And so we got a couple guys from that 2021 draft class who are going to have to respond a little bit and have a good couple days here.
Yeah, man. There's nothing more humbling than being in a competition and having to work your way out of it. My son had to learn that last year. My oldest, man, we had to go finish up a baseball season. And we went to Shipyard last year, right? And they had football training camp going on. And he was in a position to where he was running with the ones before we left. And he came back, and he's running with the twos. And I was like, this is a part of it. What you gonna do? Yeah. Like put your pride to the side, go work, and go get it back. And he eventually did. And that's like what I love about sports. Like, there gonna be some hard times. Like right now, if Caleb Farley loses his job, if Dylan Radens loses his job, like I've been in that position too, to where I didn't necessarily lose a job. I was going into it thinking that, look, I'm a shoe-in for it. And it was a 3-way competition, Will, between me, myself, and 2 other guys. Myself and 2 other guys. Me, myself. Well, right. I named myself twice.
There's a competition between me, myself, and I.
I appreciate that, Shay. Keep me accountable, man. But, Will, it's lightly embarrassing. It's very humbling. You got to put your pride to the side, because not only do you know that I'm on the outside looking in, but your entire team does too.
Right.
You've been a part of teams. What word gets around, like, man, you see big homie, man, they put the young boy, like, it's
that first week afterwards is a defining moment.
It is, man. And being in that position, I never forget, it was my second year and I thought I should have won a position. Well, however it worked out, it didn't, right? But my strength coach, Garrett Guimont, was like, Mohn, keep working. And in my mind, I was so mad and ticked off. I was like, there's the only way for me to get this back is to keep working. If I sulk in this and feel sorry for myself, and if Dylan Radens feels sorry for himself, if Caleb happens to lose it, guess what'll happen? Those guys will be called upon, and they'll not be ready. They'll be less than pros. Like, and that's what it was. I was in a position where I didn't start the first 2 games of the season, end up starting the 3rd one. And then I was back as a reserve, and I played so well in the game that I started in. When the starter came back, it was just like, we got to go with Moan.
Yeah, right.
And I end up starting from there on out from the rest of my career, over 150 starts later. And that's the thing about being on the team, too. Just because you're not in a position where you want to be doesn't mean you don't continue to work your craft.
Sure.
Because that moment that you're called and you're not ready, it's gonna be hell to pay if you're not holding up your end of the stick, man. Like, imagine if, I hate to use a major injury, imagine if there was a finger break and you can't play.
Right.
And then, hey, Dylan, let's go, you're in. And he hasn't studied the playbook.
Sure.
He hasn't prepared himself technically. He hasn't been locked in as if he's gonna be a starter. He'll be out of this league so fast.
And to give him credit, the one time that's happened, he was serviceable in relief against the San Francisco 49ers on Thursday Night Football. That, to me, is what you're clinging to if you are Dylan Radins, if you're even a Titans fan that's processing all this. And if you missed it yesterday, the big headline is that Dylan Radins moved inside to backup left guard yesterday at practice. With Jamarco Jones, he's been out. I mean, Aaron Brewer, you mentioned that if something happened at center, Brewer's your second center.
He's a reserve guy. You get a twofer with him.
So Mike Vrabel's answer when he was asked was just basically, look, we wanted to get him a look there because we've got guys that have been hurt. This is what he had to say. So that's the answer, and that's the head coach taking a little bit of pressure off of a guy that is kind of swimming a little bit right now.
Yeah, dog. You can either take this – you can go different avenues when it comes down to being in this position. You can be mad, bitter, and you should be, honestly. Everybody wants to play. If you're right – I know guys – I say this. I've known guys that didn't want more but to be a backup. Sit back and collect the check.
Yep.
Me personally, Will, I couldn't understand it.
Right.
Why am I going to go through practicing and beat up and have to grind and be away from my family and deal with crap just to be on the sideline in a friggin' jogging suit? That's not me. So the guys that we're speaking of, if it's Caleb, kind of been outdone by Roger, if it's Dylan Radins been outdone by a rookie, like you better dive in.
Yeah.
Like, this is a dog-eat-dog world when it comes down to the NFL and almost any professional sport. As somebody's always told me, nobody cares about your problems, Will, or glad you got them.
Yeah.
And guess who's glad they got them? If Roger McCreary wins, sorry, Caleb, man, you had a whole year on me.
That's right.
That's the savageness of it, too. Dylan Radins, dude, you were a second rounder? All right, sorry. Guess who's finna go start in these games? Right. Like, you can't sit back and watch the boat go by. Right. You better hop on. You better make sure whatever they ask you to do, even showing the coaches, Will. Like, it'd be stuff I'd be working on after practice, like punching the bag, getting extra time in the weight room, like talking to coaches, be like, all right, what's the next step from here? Like, that's a part of being a true pro, leaning on some of your vets. Like, all right, let's watch some film. Let me see what you do. Like, that's where Caleb is more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
The talent is there. I just don't know if he knows what to do with it, how to react to it.
No, you're right. And the problem that I have in this situation at both corner and tackle is that the Titans have not brought in a veteran to compete with these young guys.
It's true.
Because last year they had Kendall Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they had Jackrabbit Jenkins.
Sure did.
You don't have either of those guys. You don't even have Buster Screen on defense. We haven't talked about that ever since he retired at the very beginning of training camp.
We see why he retired now, too.
Well, right, because he knew these corners were dogs. Is what he knew.
Yep, sure in the heck did.
But even still, I think that's going to work out for you at corner. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're deeper at corner than you are at tackle. Now the issue I have, Ramon, is that if Dylan Radins is a guard, who's pushing Nicholas Petit-Frere now?
Another draft pick next year.
Exactly. There's nobody on this roster right now unless you bring somebody in who gets cut over these next few weeks, which I think is what's going to ultimately happen.
I can pick somebody up.
I think this team's swing tackle is not on the roster right now.
Kind of weird there. I would say Radins in a pinch, maybe a game or two.
But do you want him focusing on, hey, let me learn left side versus right side.
Well,
and let me learn the guard position in the NFL while I'm still on call as a swing tackle.
He has to, because again, we talk about that 53-man roster. The number says you have to. You have to have utility guys too at that position, man. Again, in a pinch as of right now. And again, it's on him to make sure that he's developing and getting better too. Like, that's the other side of it. Like, the fans' perspective, dude, do the job. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
Vrabel, he doesn't feel sorry for anybody.
But which job is he doing? That's the question I have. Yes, do your job, but yes, understand.
Which job? That's a fair question,
because
Will.
if this guy's learning two positions at once and is on call to be a right tackle in a pinch and is having to learn that element of things that he's already having
some issues
having trouble doing.
Yeah.
I would rather just punt and say, all right, you're a guard now.
Yeah.
Learn how to play guard and learn this left side. Learn the chemistry of playing with Taylor.
Yeah.
Because that's a big element of that position as well.
Yep.
And compete with Aaron Brewer for this job. And we'll bring in somebody to take care of this other stuff. You don't worry about that.
Jalen McKenzie. Again, if you look at the film from this past weekend, Taylor went out with something. Yeah. It was early on in the game.
Couple plays.
And they put Jalen McKenzie in. Yep. I don't know if he's a lock for the roster or what, but I guarantee you he's going to end up being a developmental guy that's either on practice squad protected, or he may end up making the 53 as a young project. Hey, look, continue to work. You're not going to be a game day active. I could see him. I could still see Dylan Radins being that guy. He's just, honestly, got to work through both.
Right.
There's a saying in this league, the more you can do, the longer you stay around.
Yeah.
Heck, for a while, I was learning to play center. Just simply because, let me add value to myself. Now, the transition goes to this. The more you can do, the less you get paid. You better specialize in one position. So that's where Dylan Radins is right now as far as trying to figure out what's what, because you can't play multiple positions in this league.
615-737-1045. I mean, as a second-year player, second-round pick, you should be able to do the job you were drafted to do as a second-year guy. And if he's not ready to do that right now, then I don't think it's going to happen for him at that position. I think you move on at tackle and you bring in somebody that can do that job and make it work at a different spot.
If you were wondering why we're in this position, Will,
the
ghost of Isaiah lives on.
It literally continues. It is the gift that keeps on taking away. The gift that literally keeps on giving us pain and sorrow.
At the O-line position.
One headline real quick we mentioned. Thank you. Thanks, I hate it. Bengals franchise tagged safety Jesse Bates has been skipping training camp after not agreeing to a new long-term deal. Back with the team today and is back in the mix in the AFC North. So a little bit of big news there in the AFC North for the defending AFC champion Bengals. Twisted the knife a little bit mentioning that too.
Well, I think the Derwin James deal showed the ceiling there for safety. So.
That's right. That's right. Coming up next, we talk with SI.com's David Boclair, get his thoughts on the most surprising competition at this point of Tennessee Titans training camp. And I want to ask him, too, does Des Fitzpatrick make this roster? Do the Titans like their wide receivers enough to keep a sixth and two quarterbacks, or are they keeping around 3 and maybe 5 wide receivers? Do that next with David Boclair of SI.com right here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Ramon Foster for my friends at Window Nation. Back to school, yes. Get those kids out of the house, out of the car. That time is here, and Window Nation can help you get an A+ in savings. Right now, you can get 2 free windows for every 2 you buy and pay nothing until 2025. That's like a free scholarship, okay? Use it towards your kids' school supplies or treat yourself, because your Window Nation savings will keep on coming. As temperatures soar, and it's going to get a little spicy this week, so do your energy bills with old, inefficient windows. So stay cool, lower those bills, and raise the value of your home with new Energy Star efficient windows. Window Nation has expertly installed over 1 million windows, rewarding an increase in value in over 150,000 homes, and all with over 96% needing no follow-up service. That's an A+. Now it's your turn to make the smart decision and go to the head of the class. Listen to me. Get 2 free windows for every 2 you buy. If you buy 4, you get 4. There's no limit. Plus, make no down payment, no payments, and no interest until 2025. You'll save big during Window Nation's back-to-school sale. Call today at 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Again, that's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And tell them that Ramon sent you.
It's Ramon and Will on 104.5 The Zone. Appreciate you hanging out with us on this Tuesday morning. Beautiful fall morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Will Bowling, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer with you until 10 o'clock. And we are pleased to be joined on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline by David Boclair, writing for SI.com, covering the Tennessee Titans. David, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, boys. How are you doing today?
We are good. And I tell you what, 3 different position battles specifically going on right now. At right tackle, at corner outside Christian Fulton between Caleb Farley and Roger McCreary, and then at punter with Ryan Stonehouse and Brett Kern. Out of those 3 competitions, which one surprises you the most right now?
I think without a doubt the punter competition surprises you. You see guys come in every year as camp legs, and you sort of take for granted that that's why they're there. And Stonehouse had an impressive college career, and that's great. But Brett Kern's Brett Kern, right? He's been a Pro Bowler. We've seen all the things he has done. But when you see Ryan Stonehouse out there holding for Randy Bullock on the kicks in the preseason game and for most of the practices last week, you know that the coaches are taking a really serious look at him. And then the guy bombs a 68-yard punt in the game and makes a mistake when he drops the punt, but makes up for it by running for the first down. I mean, there's an opportunity there to save some money and to get younger and cheaper, which is what you're always kind of looking for at every position. And I think Brett Kern is well aware that he's in a battle too, and it's going to come down to, I think, just a matter of preference. I mean, you look at these 2 games so far. Stonehouse has punted 6 times. He's got 3 touchbacks and 3 inside the 20, whereas Brett Kern's punted 5 times, and in typical Brett Kern fashion, it's 4 inside the 20 with no touchbacks, right? So it's power versus precision kind of right now in terms of what this team's looking for, and it wouldn't surprise me at this point at all if they go with the kid.
Well, and I imagine it's got to be bittersweet how well that he punted on Saturday, because now there is no chance that John Robinson can stash that guy away on the practice squad, right?
No, I wouldn't think so. Although, I mean, I don't know how many teams are out there thinking, boy, our punting situation's terrible. If only, let's just wait for the Titans to cut one of those guys. And I mean, that's the thing. I think if Kern gets cut too, I mean, that he has a reputation that somebody would say, hey, that guy's better than the guy we have. Whereas, Stonehouse, I don't know that's many GMs would make that decision immediately. It might be more of a situation where you could get him to the practice squad, but as soon as somebody has an injury, maybe then they come and raid your practice squad and take him that way. But it really it has turned into one of the more surprising things at camp. Certainly something I didn't envision when it started.
Even with Stonehouse punting the way he did, him Vrabel, with him dropping that ball in the game, what do you think that meeting was like for him?
Yeah, well, I think it was probably, hey, good job making something out of that. But, Vrabel was asked about it after the game too, and his reply was, I'd rather he not drop the ball. and I'm sure that was made clear to him, and I'm sure Stonehouse understood that. But again, he didn't, give the kid credit. He didn't try to do something stupid in that moment where, maybe I'll run around and then try and get a kickoff, and, he kicks it sideways or backwards or does something crazy. It's like, well, I've goofed. I'm just going to try and minimize this goof. And he actually turned it into a positive where he got the first down out of it. So, we've seen a lot of veteran punters in that same sort of situation just kind of lose their minds. So, I would say the best thing really is that he did keep his wits about him and just, did what he could, and it turned out okay.
Will and I have been having this conversation about, the humbling approach of being out of the driver's seat in a competitive situation right now for a position. Dylan Radins and NPF, Nicholas Petit-Frere, man, I personally, going to a practice, did not envision this being the case where the rookie is kind of, either taking it over or is side by side with Dylan Radins. What have you seen on a day-to-day basis out of this competition?
Well, I mean, what you saw yesterday was telling in that Dylan Radins started to get some work at guard again for the first time in a long time. We haven't seen that throughout training camp. We saw it maybe very early in the off season, but almost exclusively through the OTAs and mini camps and whatnot. Radins was at right tackle. Like that was a discussion we've had here where, okay, they've decided he's a right tackle and they've locked him in there and that's good. Well, the fact that he's rotating now almost says to me that, well, Petit Frere is the guy in the driver's seat now, and let's make sure Radins is ready for whatever would come along for a backup situation. Then at that point, we're going to start working him at guard the way we did last year, and he'll be a guy in a pinch, could fill in a lot of different places for us. Petit Frere got the start at right tackle Saturday night. He ended up playing more snaps at left tackle, but when Radins got in there on the right side, did not look good to me. I don't think you have to be an offensive line expert to know that guy did not do well in pass protection, and that was another thing you sort of read between the lines. Somebody asked yesterday, what is kind of going to be the deciding factor or what are you looking at specifically as you're going to make that decision? And Vrabel said, well, pass protection has to be number one. And Dylan Radins was not good at that Saturday night. So you start to add all these things up, and you say, looks like there's probably going to be a rookie starting on the offensive line against the New York Giants.
David Boclair with us here on 104.5 The Zone. So if Dylan Radins is learning left guard and not starting at right tackle, is he this team's swing tackle as he is getting those reps, or do you feel like the Titans try to bring in somebody off the street who gets cut over these next couple weeks?
I think that's a real possibility, Will. I mean, now, Christian DeLauro could be that guy. He's gotten a lot of run here in training camp and through the off season. Jamarco Jones is a guy when they signed him, I think he was a real possibility for, we talked about him as a possibility as a starter at right tackle or then he got a long look at left guard. I mean, it could be Jones. It could be Radins too. I don't think it's one of those things. I don't think there's a clear-cut guy there, and that's not a good thing. The way Ty Sambraio was, for example, for a year and a half for this team. The way Jason Matthews was that guy forever. I think they've got a bunch of possibilities, but somebody's going to have to convince them that they can play either side in a pinch. And I don't know who that guy is right now, because I think they were sort of counting on Petit Frere to be that guy, and if he's going to be the starter, now you've got to shuffle everything behind him in that regard.
Yeah, when it comes down to this joint practice this week, Bokey, as Arizona Cardinals come in, I was expecting 2 days. Coach Vrabel said 1 because of health. Now, I got a theory that maybe the starters will play this week because of that 1 day of practice. What's your mindset for this week? Because we've had that question come up a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ramon, because everybody, that's all the talk has been. You can get all the quality work you need and get it under controlled circumstances and whatnot, and even the one practice they're going to do together now, it's going to be 1-on-1s and 7-on-7s, and most of the team stuff is going to be just Titans on Titans, with the exception of the 2-minute drill. So you're not going to get. You're not even going to get really team stuff at all done this week like you would have liked. So I think that does maybe open up the possibility for Ryan Tannehill and some others maybe to get a series or two. I still say there's no way Derrick Henry's getting out there on the field. Kevin Byard probably doesn't need the work either, but maybe he gets out there for a series just to do that. But I think it's probably pretty disappointing from from the Titans' perspective that they're not going to get the work this week that they had kind of planned on and thought they were going to get.
We've had, of course, this come up a little bit, but if Ryan Tannehill and his starting crew aren't going to play this week, is it because they're trying to hide starters, or is it that Ryan Tannehill doesn't need the work either? And that's the biggest question mark surrounding him this year is what is his growth? And, of course, looking around the league, just watching Patrick Mahomes play, Josh Allen play, just all these guys that, got MVPs under their belt, but Ryan Tannehill's not. Do you have an answer for that?
I think that's Mike Vrabel will tell you we have a plan for all our players, and their plan is that Tannehill would get all the work he needed in practices and not have to play in these games. So I don't think it's way out of bounds to suggest that a guy who had a disappointing end to last season in terms of throwing 3 interceptions in a playoff game, a guy who lost his go-to wide receiver, a guy who's breaking in a new tight end plus a rookie tight end behind him, a guy who's breaking in a rookie slot receiver and has a first-round draft pick at wide receiver and has a guy coming off a knee injury as probably his number 1 wide receiver and so on and so on. I don't think it's out of bounds to say he could benefit from getting some actual game reps before the start of the regular season. But Mike Vrabel we saw this last year. He's willing to keep guys on the shelf until September, and they trust their plan with these guys. So we'll see if the practice change this week affects that.
David Boclair with us here on Ramona Will, 104.5 The Zone. On the defensive side of the ball, Roger McCreary kind of in the driver's seat right now, opposite Christian Fulton. It's kind of interesting, right, how one position battle works in reference to another one. Feels like this one is more about Roger McCreary just being that good versus Caleb Farley really being that disappointing. But still, a little bit surprised to see Roger McCreary kind of take over that spot so quickly.
See, I'm not. I had said this coming out of mini camps, and actually, I don't know that Farley has been that disappointing. I think you see a lot of the positive traits that Farley offers, probably a little more often than I suspected. And when you talk to him, he's not this super hyper. I gotta be great. I gotta do this. I gotta, kind of guy that he was last year. He has a much more serious, buttoned down approach to things than he did, which is encouraging to me. But it's just, and this is what I said back in June, and I think it's true. McCreary provides just much more consistency from play to play to play, and coaches like to know what they're getting from guys on a snap to snap basis. And Caleb Farley's only problem is that he hasn't played enough football the last couple of years, and hasn't played, relative to probably every other cornerback who's been drafted in the first round in the last 20 years or whatever number you want to put on it, has just played so little football at that position. And I think he's prone to making big mistakes right now just because he hasn't done it enough. And a big mistake at that position turns into a really big play. So I think coaches are more comfortable with Roger McCreary as a guy who they know he's going to be in the right spot in zone coverage. They know he's going to match his receiver as well as possible in man coverage, and not overplay on a particular fake or something like that. So I think there's still optimism for Farley, but I think McCreary gives them the opportunity to sort of slow the process with him a little bit, and not force him to have to deal with too many of the individual defeats, I guess, that you're going to deal with at cornerback along the way.
So do you think this is John Robinson and the Titans admitting, hey, we didn't evaluate this guy correctly? Or is this the Titans organization saying this guy is a long-term project who hadn't played a lot of football based on his injury history? let's give him as much time as we can to ease into that development. Because we know John Robinson will admit, a year or two down the line, hey, I messed up on this pick. Let me go get a plan B or another option. Where do you fall in that?
Yeah, I don't think they're thinking of him as a potential mistake at all right now. I think they look at him as he was a risk worth taking, and they still think there's going to be a payoff. I think absent Roger McCreary, they would feel pretty good about him being their starting cornerback right now. But McCreary showed up and has done all the things that he has done, and they're just more comfortable with him right now. But coaches have talked about it. You've seen it. The length that Farley has, and there are balls that he gets his hands on that most cornerbacks, Roger McCreary included, would not get his hands on, even in good coverage. Farley had, he just has some really natural advantages that if and when he kind of puts it all together with his athleticism and the understanding of what it is to play cornerback in this league, I think there's still a real possibility he could be a good one. But I mean, in a way, you think about it, he's effectively every bit as much a rookie as McCreary is. He played so little football last year, so in a way, these two guys almost started from the same spot this year, and I don't think you should paint it as a failure that Farley hasn't locked down this job. It's different to me than the discussion at right tackle, for example.
David Boclair has been our guest here on Ramon and Will. At Boclair Sports on Twitter is where you can find him. Always good stuff. Appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me, and congratulations to you, Will. Good luck in the big chair there.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Bo. Good.
Appreciate it. Right here on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, there is David Boclair giving us a couple minutes. A few things that I want to react to on the other side, particularly the part about Caleb Farley, because I think there's a certain expectation that comes with first-round picks that doesn't necessarily apply to him. Why I'm giving him grace and not some other guys that are wearing the two-tone blue right now. We'll do that next. Ramon and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
There is one thing that really makes Genesis Diamonds stand out from any other jewelry store, and it's the education you get. Yes, the education. You're not going to be swindled. They're going to teach you. Because they're not clerks behind the counter. They are seasoned pros. They know everything there is to know about diamonds, and they will teach you in a way that is transparent, informative, and useful to you. They'll even teach you how to buy like a dealer. Yes, trust me, there is a certain thing you can buy like a dealer, and they will teach you that. And this is done in a relaxed, no pressure, and no expectation kind of atmosphere. They know that most guys don't know much about diamonds, so they're committed to teaching you, not selling you. Genesis will give you access to one of the largest selections of GIA certified diamonds in America. They will let you see 10, 15, 20, even more diamonds in your price range side by side so you can make an intelligent decision. They will work with your budget, and they will respect your budget also. Nah, this is 15. You can get it for no, none of that. They will respect your budget. So if you're diamond shopping, this is the play to go. Go. The education you want, the selection you need, the price you deserve. Zero risk, zero pressure. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and in Cool Springs. Go visit the folks that I trust, and that's Genesis Diamonds.
Appreciate David Boclair hanging out with us. Some good information about the punter battle, about the cornerback battle.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff we didn't even have time to get into, though we will save for later on in the show. It's Ramona Will, powered by All Four Seasons here on 104.5 The Zone. Exact quote was, the Titans still look at Caleb Farley as a risk worth taking. They still think there's going to be a payoff with him at that position. So I think there's a different level of expectation for him as a first-round pick coming off of the injury that he had when he was drafted. But on top of that, Ramon, I'm not as anxious for him to come in and win a starting job this season as much, because I think the longevity of his health and of easing that guy back into the system and playing full-time football is important context here.
It is. And not just that, man. Everybody sees the talent. And one thing that I'm glad that Vrabel and his staff are doing with him and Shane Bowen is forcing him to be out there.
Yeah.
You know, like the development aspect of him becoming a ball player again to where he was, to where they started using that P word potential, is he's got to get those reps.
Right.
And, you know, practice is one thing. We've seen him do well there. Of course, his consistency is a factor that has to be addressed and will be with the level of play that he's playing against. That's why for him, these joint practices, he got to be there. If he goes out against the Arizona Cardinals and have that type of day, the way he did the second day against Tampa, we're in the right direction,
Yeah.
Will.
He's a lockdown corner at that point.
He is, and to your point, too, about first-rounders, I'm glad you brought that up. They'll forever be given grace.
Really?
He simply will, because he's a first-round draft
Yeah, that's
pick.
true.
You have more time. A non-quarterback.
I was going to say it. Now, because when it turns, because you're giving grace up to a point.
Yes, you are.
It's what? Season, 2 seasons.
2 seasons.
But when it turns sour, then it goes the exact opposite way.
Yes.
That you've got to be the dude at that point.
Right now, right here.
But not yet for
Right
him,
now.
for me.
Yeah, you remember that
That's
song.
right.
I love that drop. Right here. I love it on videos.
Yeah.
But that's where his grace is given to. And the beauty behind what Caleb Farley is, too, even if they don't pick up his option and he gets cut, somebody's still going to bring him in, because
we're not close to that point.
No,
Right.
not close to that point. But the talent is in, and it's up to somebody to unlock that. And I think it's this team, and I think it's just him, because when Vrabel spoke about him just being so over the top and anxious to perform, that's what you're looking for. You don't want the comfortable guy. I'm not going to call his name, but you don't want the lineman from 2020. You know, whereas I'm happy to be here.
You don't want the panda.
No, you do not want that. And respectfully, I say that because you're given so many opportunities with that one first rounder, Caleb Farley. Like, you're given so much grace because of it. And I like the approach they're taking on it. If he doesn't win the starting position, I can still see him at some point this season starting at corner.
Well, and two, there's only one starting right tackle.
Yeah.
There's only one starting left guard.
Yes.
Within the Titans' base defense that they run, they really are in a base nickel most of the time in that defense. I mean, it's a 3-4 look, but really it's more of a 4-2-5 that they're running consistently. So there's space for Roger McCreary to be a nickel. You know, there's versatility within that defensive backfield that I think is important. And I think the reason why I'm more okay with him taking more time coming around, and we mentioned the durability, and look, it wasn't just the torn ACL, it was the back injury.
Yeah.
It's the multiple back surgeries. It's the ACLs. It's wanting to ease that guy back into playing full-time football as to not rush his development too quickly and get him dinged up again. But on top of that, Ramon, the Titans defense is good enough to be a little bit greedy and to bring guys along more slowly.
Yeah.
Because the Titans defense has a top 5 pass rush in the NFL. It's got young cover corners that I think they really like the skills and the traits that they have right now. And that's the difference between why I'm okay with him coming along more slowly on the defensive side versus the offensive side. Titans don't have time to ease Dylan Radins along.
No, they don't.
They need him to compete and be a dude right now.
Great freaking point. Well,
I mean, and that's the difference.
Football?
And it's
you watch football or something? My God.
and it's totally unfair.
It is unfair.
In some extent, but in other ways, it really isn't.
Because that opportunity was there way before the Caleb Farley's was.
Yeah.
Right. And you'd expect the mentality of a guy given that position and say you won Coach Vrabel's offseason award, you reshaped your body, which he did, and he has that knack of being comfortable with the ones that he would have taken it. But again, that's what camp is too. It's doing it day in and day out.
That's right.
Can you handle the pressure of going from ones to twos day to day? Can you adjust to playing next to Nate and then playing next to Corey Levin? Like, those are the things you got to deal with. And then when it comes to the game, practice is one thing. I told you early on, I was like, man, Radens look comfortable with the first ones, with the first team. Maybe he was too comfortable.
Sure.
You're never safe until you
think
absolutely
you are right
got
in
it.
saying that.
Yeah, and that's not a bad take, though, but he didn't have the same grace as Caleb Farley does.
Right. 615-737-1045. Let's go to Alvin in Nashville. Good morning, Alvin.
How y'all doing?
Morning. What's up? What's going on?
Morning. What's up, man? Hey, I just want to ask, Ramon, are we just going to continue to ignore the fact that J-Rob keep messing up the draft picks, especially the second round pick with Dylan Radis?
Yeah.
And could y'all see us going after I heard that the Patriots are trying to let go of Isaiah Wynn or something like that.
Isaiah Wynn, a tackle.
And I'm gonna hang up and listen.
Appreciate it, Alvin.
Man, the draft is hard. It just is, Alvin. I feel you want them to hit on 1, 2, and 3, and 4 every single year, but some guys test well. Some guys suck at testing. Some guys just happen to have a bad day on those days. And again, when it comes down to them evaluating guys, they have that pecking order of, does he run this 40? Can he bench this? Does he jump this high? Does he move like this? What is his medical looking like? And they'll pick a guy that checks those boxes when you have another kid that's probably just as good that don't check 3 of or check 2 of the 4 that you're looking for. So that's the aspect of like recruiting. I will say this. I do think this group this year is answering the call for what happened last year.
Yeah.
Like, we got to find balance in it, too. Like, we 100%. Can say that. And if you get Isaiah Wynn, the only issue with him is his injuries as of late. Like, where is he at? Like, if they go get him and he's injured again, we're going to be having that conversation like, dang, J-Rob, what are you? The Humane Society for injured players in the NFL?
Well, but if you're a fan, though, and you're looking at the current situation with Dylan Radins and that specter of Isaiah Wilson continues to hang over.
Oh, my God.
You have every right to feel frustrated.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Period.
And honestly,
you have every right to be frustrated.
I can't even push back on that.
Now, if Radins does go into the inside and he's a productive pro, that's different. Because, again, like every situation when it comes to a draft pick, you're always going on, okay, what's he already done? But, okay, what's going to happen in the future as well?
And the other point that I want to make about this, too, just to be fair to Dylan Radins, is that part of his evaluation when he was drafted was the ability to move inside if he needed to.
Right. I think our frustration's more of, especially when it comes to this show, is that we have felt from the beginning that he's an interior player, a guard, and not a
That's
tackle.
right. Which means you should have brought in another Kendall Lamb this season to compete with your new rookie at that position, and Dylan Radins should have been your left guard all along. 615-737-1045 is the number. We come back, halftime of the show. Get up, stretch your legs a little bit, grab some concessions, get your restroom break in. And we hit the third quarter coming up next. Eric Cain coming up at 8:20. We're going to talk some Vols up next and get into the details of Brew McCoy and his transfer from USC to Tennessee and why he is or isn't playing and what USC could or couldn't do about it. Coming up next, third quarter, next on deck on 104.5 The Zone.
8:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. Titans gear up for joint practice with the Cardinals on Wednesday. Teams have decided to not have a joint session on Thursday as originally planned. Rookie wide receiver Kyle Phillips told Ramon and Will that he has developed a comfort level with QB1 Ryan Tannehill through practice and meetings. The Titans waived 4 players yesterday. Wide receiver Terry Godwin, outside linebacker Justin Lawler, cornerback Shakur Brown, and defensive back Shaheem Carter. NFL teams must have their rosters cut down from 85 to 80 players by the end of business today. Braves defeated the Pirates yesterday 2-1. Yankees over the Mets 4-2. Braves now 3 games behind the Mets in the NL East. Nolensville now just 1 win away from the U.S. Championship game in the Little League World Series after a rain delay of more than 2 hours. Nolensville beat Hagerstown, Indiana 5-2 in 7 innings. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Ramona Will on 104.5 The Zone, hour number 3, rocking and rolling on this Tuesday edition. Hope you're having a great start to your day. Alongside our Bode Foster, Will Bowling with you. Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. We've got Eric Cain. Oh, wow, you just threw that one in there without me teeing it up. Wow. Okay.
It's like that.
Not waiting for you.
Perfect. Ron Slay in hour 4. Eric Cain here coming up in 15 minutes. We're going to get the word out of Knoxville. I want to know his biggest thing that he needs to learn about this team in the next 9 days, because still some question marks and still some position battles that are continuing. Also, we got a running back in Tennessee that was there for 17 days and just peaced out. That has got to be the quickest tenure out of school on a roster that I've ever heard.
Jumping around schools.
It's not great.
Yeah.
Not great, Bob.
No, not great at all, man. That's the one thing about transferring that I'm not a fan of. Speaking of transferring, brew. But
They're going to say that our
there.
delivery food driver transferring our order to not here.
Yeah, it is.
Ramon's running hot right now.
No, because we ordered food for breakfast, and I'm like, I've worked out, hadn't had breakfast or anything. I had a Celsius and water at this point right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
A little fidgety.
And the cat's around here somewhere. I'm like, dog, how hard is it for you to find a building? I'm about to give him 0 stars if I don't hear back here in a second.
Funniest thing is the biggest fight, or the angriest Ron Slay has ever been at me is when we were going to Atlanta for SEC Media Days.
Oh, what happened?
And we stopped to get breakfast on the way down there. And we were stopping in Mont Eagle. And I was like, oh, stop up here. You've got like a Dunkin' and like a Wendy's like breakfast here in this little gas station. And like the sausage patty on the biscuit was not up to Slay's standards. And he was like mad at me for the whole week.
Of course he was.
He's like, how dare
man.
you take me to the, you knew this was going to happen. I was like, what are you, like, I just wanted a Dunkin' coffee because that's where I used to work in high school.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I'm a barista.
This freaking bum. I can't believe this guy right now.
Freaking bum.
Yeah, I hope he's listening to us too.
I was going to say, if you're a delivery driver riding around with Ramon Foster's chicken, you've been put on notice officially.
He's been put on notice, man. Gosh, it is what it is, though.
I stay well fed doing shows with you.
You know what?
I really appreciate this about you. Like on like real talk for a minute.
What do I always? Everybody eats, B.
That's right. Literally everybody.
You come to my house. You have to come to the crib. I'm sure it's not as fancy as your.
Here we go.
As your
Good.
palatial.
I don't have to be the token anymore.
Yeah, I know. I know it's not as fancy as palatial that you live in, but we have a good time. They're usually going to eat well.
That's right.
And usually will drink well of any variation that you want. Will right, Shay?
You know I'm a bourbon guy too.
Oh,
like I'm a whiskey guy.
He's not allowed to have that bourbon yet.
Hey, easy.
Shafe, do you
Come on?
You want to tell him how awesome the Eagle Rare 17
I've seen
year
no. I
was?
love that.
No, I don't want to tell him because I want to keep it to myself.
Oh.
So what's your favorite you've had? We've had this conversation.
My favorite
before.
I've had was the
Recently, because I know that's a broad question asking you to pick like one favorite.
recently was the Eagle Rare 17 year.
Okay. I had a bottle of Smoke Wagon recently.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people on Smoke Wagon.
Really,
recently.
really good. Vegas.
Yeah.
Really good.
I had the E.H. Taylor 18-year marriage.
Oh, that's good stuff.
The 18-year marriage, though. Ron and I sat in Destin on the front porch, and we tried not to finish this bottle.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like, look, we better.
Oh, that's the worst feeling when you're looking. You got like a third of it left. And you're like, I want to make this last for another
We
week.
better go
I
to
paid
this.
too much money for this to just drink it right now.
gosh, we better go for this Angels
relax.
Envy. Like that's where I was. Like Ron, we need to.
Yeah.
And it was so good. It was like, you know what? No, see, he's in there laughing now.
That's
like
right.
that Eagle Rare
I'm jealous.
18-year marriage was phenomenal. But listen to me, the William
Weller is my favorite.
William LaRue Weller that
It's
I
my
have
favorite.
at the house is.
Which one you have?
I got that one too. I
Wait,
got
like
a
which
Pappy.
one? You've got Weller 12?
I got so many Wellers.
Oh,
I have to show them to you.
Weller. I hardly know her.
Weller, you better drink it. Another good one. I better not lose this contact.
Weller Foolproof is probably my favorite.
I got a foolproof. Buddy of mine gave that to me, man.
Holy crap!
I got
is great.
foolproof. I got also a Pappy's 20.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
I got some Louis the
blow my
13th
mind.
at the house. I told you you'll eat good.
On Twitter at Ramona Will on Twitter. A guy by the name of Wes Bowling is chiming in. Wes Bowling TN.
Wes is a bourbon guy too. I'm
Huge.
guessing.
So Wes is the reason why I'm a bourbon guy. He tweets at us and says Eagle Rare is overrated. Weller all day long is his pick.
Shafe. If you can get on the mic real quick, pause.
You know, that's what made him the lesser bowling.
Oh no!
Will you tell him that
Oh,
this
no.
17 year?
No,
Rare?
17
Perfect.
years. Sounds
It's perfect.
I was gonna say that one's
absolutely
that's a
perfect.
pretty nice variation.
I'm looking for the E.H. Taylor. Which one is it? The Barn? No, what is it? Barn 9. I think it's the one I'm looking for right now. I got a small batch and I got a single barrel E.H. Taylor.
Man, this is where I become like a 40-year-old.
Bourbon guys, man.
I love bourbon so much.
We're getting to that point to
Big
where I
fan.
want to drink it again too. Like
Yeah,
and when
it's
it's
starting to
hot,
get a little bit cooler. That's right.
No, I'm not the biggest fan. Tequila me, Clase Azul is pretty good.
okay.
And Casamigos is pretty good. So of course,
I love Casamigos.
with
That's my
tequila
favorite.
though, 1942 is legit too.
Uh-huh.
But of course with tequila, people are like, no, you're supposed to like, okay, whatever you give me.
A little
probably.
Casamigos on the rocks because that's like sweet enough. It's got like
It
the
is.
agave like
Yup.
kind of like taste
But
to it.
Clase Azul is also.
Uh-huh.
It's just sweet enough. And I also have perfected the method of getting clear ice cubes at the house.
Oh really?
I'm
See,
talking
I
about
don't put
clear
ice in any of
Spears.
this.
No, with
I
that
drink it. Well, with tequila I do.
with
but
the William LaRue Weller,
yeah,
you gotta cut it. Just you gotta cut it
See,
because
I
it's
can't.
so strong.
I love it.
It's so strong.
615-737-1045, the number. No, I love a good high proof is my guy.
Really?
My brother then now responds again, Wes, and says, I've not had the 17 year to be fair. Sounds like at Ramon Foster needs to host a whiskey party and share some of the stash. Is what
Hey,
he-
I'm telling you, you come to the
Jonathan
crib.
Schaefer is livid that more people are getting access to this.
Well, no. We'll pull out a Maker's Mark for everybody.
Oh, there you go. That's about right. So Tennessee going up against USC in a little bit of a dispute over whether or not Brew McCoy should be eligible immediately. USC releasing a statement. We mentioned the report yesterday. Trey Wallace had this first, the exclusive report, Outkick.com, about what was going on specifically with USC in this process of getting Brew McCoy immediately eligible. Tennessee fans are up in arms about this because USC could have signed off on a no participation opportunity form to allow McCoy to be eligible immediately. USC tells Trey Wallace and then releases a statement the next day on Twitter that they've done all that they can and that they have no dispute that Trey Wallace shouldn't be eligible right away. Well,
I mean, Brew McCoy.
yeah, that's right. Lord have mercy.
I was going to say,
But Trey, yeah, Trey's a good guy, but he's not trying to play football for Tennessee.
I didn't know Trey was that fast.
Yeah, that's right. I love that guy. But so of this dispute that Brew McCoy shouldn't be playing immediately. It's really interesting because USC has the #1 transfer recruiting class in the country, and USC poached Oklahoma,
Jordan Addison,
and Pittsburgh, and all these guys, and had no issue with getting those guys eligible immediately with their schools. And Lincoln Riley coming over and the way all that worked. It seems like if there's one program that should be allowing somebody to play immediately, it's this one. They're not doing their part of making sure Brew McCoy can play for Tennessee.
So what can they possibly do to make him come back to USC at this point, or just hold him out? Because
Just
Lincoln Riley, that's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. Here we are trying to transition into not giving power to the kids, but if there's a situation that just doesn't work for you, for him, for them, and you know he doesn't want to be there, like, why are you keeping him on campus or not signing his paper? Like, you didn't even recruit this guy. You didn't even coach him, Lincoln.
Right.
What the heck are we doing?
It's not great. Brew McCoy was arrested in July of 2021. And that was, at the time, a felony domestic violence arrest back in July of 21. Those charges were completely dropped, and he decided to move on from USC at that point. So there is certainly a little bit of nuance to that conversation. It's not like this is a guy that just transferred immediately because he wanted other playing time. There was the arrest that he had there. This was a second transfer for him after starting at Texas. And the way all of that worked. So there is certainly nuance to it. It's not as simple as just moving a guy from one program to another and, they didn't want him to leave, so they're going to make it as hard as possible. There are some other factors to that, some other variables to kind of talk about. But I want to get Eric Cain's thoughts on this because you'll notice when we talked to Ryan Callahan at GoVols 247 last week, he kind of dropped that into our conversation with him just kind of nonchalantly to say, I think there might be something to maybe USC and the paperwork and all that. And then a couple days later, this report comes out. Now everybody's talking about it.
It's confusing as we've moved so far that a school like USC is a school holding up a transfer. That is so bothersome to me. I can't wait to hear from my guy.
Yeah,
and I got my
absolutely.
contact fixed. Man, I've been messing with a contact lens.
Is it looking for that Uber Eats delivery driver has gotten your contact out of whack?
Yeah, it's throwing me all the way off.
Yeah, he apologized 4 times and pointed at his phone. I went, I don't care.
Sorry, like, dude.
We do not care.
Better make sure.
We do not
check
care.
our stuff.
Thank
too,
you, Mike Tomlin. Coming up next, Eric Cain joins us talking about the Lynn J. Dixon era that is in 17 days at Tennessee. 17. Gone but never forgotten, except we already kind of forgot about it. And then his thoughts on Brew McCoy. A lot of stuff we'll get into with Cainer from Sports Radio WML. Coming up next, Ramona Will, 104.5 The Zone.
I choose violence.
As leaders in disaster cleanup and restoration, the pros at ServPro are prepared for anything, such as the relief valve on your water heater failing, pouring gallons of water into your finished basement. Yeah, that sucks. Or an electrical shortage in your office that caused extensive smoke, fire, and water damage. ServPro's prepared for that type of thing. Or a musty odor indicates it's will mold. Nope, never mind. It might indicate you might have a mold problem. You need a lot more than help sometimes cleaning up, and that's why you contact ServPro. They have the equipment and expertise to clean up damage from fire, water, or mold, but they also offer variety construction services ranging from drywall patching and document drying. Yes, you can save your documents all the way to complete structure rebuilds. ServPro is the call to bring your home or business back as good as new and as soon as possible. Call the official ServPro downtown Nashville operators at 800 ServPro to see how we can help you get back to like it never even happened. ServPro, cleaning, restoration, constructions. Franchise are independently owned and operated.
It's Ramona Will on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all four seasons. Thanks for hanging out with us. Will Bowling and VFL Ramon Foster with you. Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. We're 9 days away from football in Neyland Stadium, a new look Neyland Stadium, I might add. Pictures and videos starting to come out. Tennessee starting to put out more content from the cathedral of college football. It looks beautiful.
Hey, now.
Very excited to be back in there in a couple weeks.
Listen to Shay.
Okay. We're joined on the Marks Van Real Estate Hotline now by a man who will back me up on that statement.
I'm a VAA. I'm one of those that thinks the Vols are all right.
Thank you. Not Keith Bullock, but his name is Eric Cain, Sports Radio WNML in Knoxville. So, Cain, before we start on the UT stuff, the first game of play-by-play of baseball I ever did was with you. It was a Mississippi Braves and Tennessee Smokies game. This was 4 years ago. How much pride do you take in the fact that the guys we called in that game are now 75 wins in August and are but basically that entire team was what we saw a couple years ago?
Yeah, man, it's awesome. Obviously, you and I both big-time Braves fans.
That's right.
Very unbiased that night when we were in the Smokies radio booth, I might add. But World Series champions last year and now kind of resetting in certain positions. Michael Harris is fantastic. Obviously, a lot of great young talent. So it's always fun to be a part of minor league. You know, I called a couple of seasons in the Kingsport Mets, now the Kingsport Axemen, and a couple of those guys are now big leaguers. So really, really fun. That was a fun night as well, man. You have come a long way, my friend. Not meaning you were bad at the time, but look at you now, man. In there in Nashville doing your radio thing. So
No, don't get away from that. No, say he was that bad, and it's okay. We can move forward if you're honest, okay?
Freaking bum.
It was one of those things to where I said it, and I was like, wow, that sounds like an insult. That's not what I meant. So I had to clarify real quick.
Hey, it's all right. I'll remember. I'll be up there in a couple weeks for Tennessee football. It's fine. You know,
This
we're
freaking
good.
clown.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Anytime I can mention any kind of Atlanta Braves knowledge or fact or just fandom, I always do so, as you know. So, all right, what's going on with Brew McCoy? I know the report from Trey Wallace, Austin Price, others who have been on this story since the beginning. It's hard to ask really what is the timeline when the NCAA is involved in anything because they don't really care about timelines or when football games start and things of that nature. But from people you're talking to in Knoxville, where does Tennessee stand with this? How confident are they in Brew McCoy playing next week against Ball State?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there is a timeline right now because right now Tennessee has filed a waiver with the NCAA. And as you pointed out, the NCAA tends to not be in a hurry regarding pretty much anything. But there are basketball players who have already transferred and granted eligibility, and the basketball season doesn't start for a couple months away. But nonetheless, unfortunately, I don't think there's a timeline right now. I mean, the thought process all summer long, spring, summer, even leading up in recent weeks was optimism. It was going to get done. It was going to be a non-issue. But that was under the impression that USC was going to sign the NPO, the non-participation opportunity. And to my understanding, USC had communicated with Tennessee and with the family that they were going to sign off on that. And they were going to sign off on that because Brew had already transferred once. And so he was going to be ineligible to play at USC. But if you sign that NPO, then he's allowed to go play somewhere else. And so to my understanding, that was communicated that it was going to be signed, and ultimately it was never signed. And so Tennessee got tired of waiting, went ahead and filed a waiver with the NCAA, and we're just going to have to wait and see. I could see a scenario if the NCAA for some reason were to come back and deny Brew eligibility, Tennessee could circle back around to USC and maybe put some more pressure on them to sign that NPO. But I mean, I think he's going to play at some point. I just don't know what the timeline will be. That's just kind of my thought process, but kind of gotten a little bit of a mess. It's always more complicated than what it may appear, and so I feel like we should have known that back in the summer when all the talk was it's going to be okay, just crossing some T's and dotting some I's.
Like, where are we at with this transfer stuff where kids can leave and hop in the portal? This is like early 2000s transfer process we're dealing with now. Why is USC acting this way when it comes down to this kid who Lincoln Riley has no relationship with, has never coached him, really hadn't been around him? What's the big hole up in them either lying about it or just not wanting to do it?
Yeah, I wish I had the answer for you, Ramon. I don't know, man. To my understanding, though, I will say this: I don't think it's much less Lincoln Riley in the athletic program, athletic department. I think it's more or less the administration in Southern Cal, to my understanding. But still, I have no clue. I don't know why you wouldn't just go ahead and sign off on it. I mean, especially, too, if you said and you communicated that you were going to do it. Now, it'd be one thing if you said, I'm not going to sign off on this because here's my reason, A, B, and C, whatever. That's like, okay, well, you may disagree, but whatever. But if it was communicated that you were going to sign it and then you just didn't, I have no clue why. I mean, we live in an era where, right, wrong, indifferent, guys transfer every single year and, they're granted immediate eligibility. You got quarterbacks that are on their third stops right now starting in Power 5 football games, JT Daniels. So, I don't know, man. It's weird.
As far as camp goes, they're probably about time to start winding down. Students about to get on campus. I saw basketball are back to doing their things. Who's taking a step in the right direction this year as far as camp goes?
Yeah, they are out of camp officially on into game week preparations, and this week is kind of simulating what a Saturday game would be like. So they had a walkthrough yesterday, and the media schedule's a little messed up because, of course, the opening night is a Thursday. But into game week preparations for Tennessee, I think that when you talk about some guys who had stepped up and been pleasant surprises for Tennessee, I think on the defensive side of the football, you look at Tamarian McDonald, a guy from Memphis who is not really factored into the defense his first 2 years on campus. I mean, he's in position to potentially start at the nickelback spot. What a story there. Christian Charles is obviously going to play a lot at cornerback, I feel like. And, let's see what Juwan Mitchell, who had a strong camp, can bring to the team at linebacker offensively. I think Walker Merrill, a guy from the Mid-State right there, has been very consistent. And when we talk about Brew McCoy and will he, won't he play, I think a guy that could potentially be out there first, if not, would be Walker Merrill. There'll be a number of guys that play that position, but I think Merrill's going to be one of them. He's had a very consistent fall camp, and I think he's a guy that the coaching staff trusts. And so I think the big takeaways for Tennessee in fall camp is you're creating depth. There's more players that the coaches feel like they can trust, where last season that was not the case, especially on defense. And overall, knock on wood, you made it out pretty healthy. Now, there's some guys banged up, and Tennessee's been overly cautious with a number of players like Jalen Wright and some of these other guys, but you've been pretty healthy throughout fall camp, and you can't ask for much better, just 9 days away from kickoff.
Eric Cain with us here on 104.5 The Zone Sports Radio WNML in Knoxville. Eric, the Lynn J. Dixon era ended very quickly, obviously, 17 days on the roster before he enters the transfer portal again, or is just no longer with the roster at this point. How much of that was because of how talented these two freshmen are at the running back position for Tennessee, Justin Williams-Thomas and Dylan Sampson? How much time was Lynn J. Dixon really going to see in that running back room?
We hear the example of, round peg in a square hole or square peg in a round or whatever it is so many times. I just feel like that's kind of what it was. This was a guy that came and visited late in July and met with the coaching staff. They decided, all right, let's take a flyer on him. He gets here a couple of days into camp, and his acclimation period is a couple of days behind. And really, he only practiced a handful of times and wasn't, seeing any live action in scrimmages. And then has an ankle injury, and that put him out for about a week and a half. And so he was so far behind the eight ball. You had to learn the offense, obviously, because it's brand new to him, and he showed up late. And, I mean, he was obviously last in the pecking order at this point in time. So I think you kind of couple that, seeing where you are. Maybe it wasn't just the best fit from a culture standpoint and everything. I think they tried to make it work because they needed a body. And you can't fault Tennessee from that line of thinking whatsoever. But it just didn't work. And so I think that eventually if he would have stayed and gotten healthy and learned the offense, I think maybe anywhere from around the UT Martin game potentially is kind of where you're saying, all right, can you start getting a couple of touches a game? Because, I mean, the way I described it on, VolQuest yesterday was I don't think it's anything worth panicking over, but, we all know, we all watch football, cover football. 4 running backs is not enough. Tennessee went through 5 at a point in time last season. So you wanted that body to be there. You wanted him to have a couple of touches to kind of help out. But ultimately, he's not going to be a part of the team. So Tennessee's got 4 scholarship running backs, 2 freshmen, and 2 guys above them that have some durability concerns at points in times in their career. But I like the room. I like the makeup of it. There's just not a whole lot of them, but they're going to make do.
Where are we at with the starting offensive line at this point, specifically left tackle? How has that come together during this camp?
Yeah, that's the only question about the offensive line. The other 4, from left guard at Carvin all the way over to right tackle at Darnell Wright, they're returning starters. Of course, Darnell Wright played left tackle last year, but he's still a returning starter. So you feel good about the offensive line. That helps with tempo. Obviously, that helps with protecting your quarterback. They've got to get better in protecting Hendon Hooker. Gave up a SEC high in sacks a season ago, but you feel good about that unit, no doubt, especially when, again, you're a tempo offense. Left tackle, those guys, Gerald Mincey and J.J. Crawford, they've been battling all fall camp. At points in times, I think J.J. Crawford kind of looked like he was going to be the guy and kind of carried himself like he was that first-team guy. And I think Gerald Mincey came on in that last scrimmage. And so I think both of those guys, Tennessee's going to play a lot of players regardless. But I think both of those guys will get first-team reps against Ball State. And then after that, I think you got to make a decision. Tennessee will likely have to play both of them just because, it is what it is in the SEC schedule. But I think after that, Ball State will have a much better idea of which one Tennessee will go with. If I still had to pick a favorite right now, I would still lean J.J. Crawford. But I think both of those guys, from what we've heard, have had a pretty decent camp, and Tennessee feels good enough about those guys to leave Darnell Wright over at right tackle, and so that's obviously a positive sign.
Yeah, that says a lot right there.
Two guys on the offensive side, Eric, who I continue to hear a lot about. Running back Dylan Sampson, mentioned him, and Squirrel White, the freshman slot receiver. Out of those two guys, which one has the bigger impact as a freshman this season?
I would say Dylan Sampson, the running back, simply because there's only 4 running backs, and Dylan Sampson's going to play. He's going to play against Ball State, and as long as he's healthy, he's going to play probably, in every single game. Really like his ability. He's a very patient runner. He can catch the football out of the backfield. He's not the biggest guy, but he'll run between the tackles. And, he was out here in spring. He showed up June 1st and started going through workouts and really kind of took camp by storm and really impressed the coaching staff early on. And so I think he'll play. I think he'll play a lot. Now, will he have 500, 600 rushing yards as a true freshman? I don't know, but I think he will definitely have a defined role, and I think Justin Williams-Thomas will as well. I mean, both those guys are going to play, as we've mentioned. But Squirrel White, you can't – it's almost like you can't find anybody that says a bad thing about him. The way he works, the way he's tough, the way he lines up his route running, his ability to get up and go make the catch, all that kind of just jumps off the charts from a guy that's not very big, about 5'10", about a 162, 163. He's put on about 10 pounds, thankfully, since he's been on campus. So my thing with Squirrel White is, if healthy, I think he's going to play. But can you give Tennessee, 7 to 10 quality snaps a game? You might not play 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 snaps a game, but can you give them, around 10 quality snaps a game? And what can you do with those snaps? Will Tennessee try to draw something up to utilize his speed? We'll have to see. But I think both of those guys are going to play. They're two really nice surprises of fall camp. Squirrel White was a great surprise in spring practice as well. But when you talk about freshmen, those two, Justin Williams-Thomas, and I think Addison Nichols on the offensive line, they're trying to get him ready to be a backup interior option. Those are some of the freshmen that we're hearing an awful lot about. And Joshua Josephs and James Pierce at the Leo position.
How is Cameron Miller, the kid out of Memphis, how's he adjusted going to the defensive side of the ball? I think they said they would put him at safety. Is there a role for him over on that side of the ball? Just looking at this freshman class, trying to figure out, where's the development that, we've lacked in years past at Tennessee?
Yeah, I think the coaching staff gave Cam Miller a good look at wide receiver in the spring and kind of said, well, you're trying to build up the competition, trying to build up the depth in the secondary, and ultimately trying to replace 2 safeties who are likely to leave this year potentially. Trayvon Flowers for sure, and we'll see about Jalen McCullough. But and so they made the move and put him over at safety, so he's been repping at safety. I think he's kind of behind the pack right now, just learning defense, learning how to play the position, and that's okay. He's got a really, really nice skill set. It's a guy in high school that obviously played wide receiver. He lined up in the backfield. When we're talking about emergency situations, if Tennessee needs another body at running back, it would not shock me whatsoever if later on down the line he was getting a look there because he's that type of athlete. But I think he's got a guy that's going to play a lot on special teams, be on every single unit, and get 35 to 40 snaps in that area every single game. But as far as an impact defensively, I don't see it much this year. Of course, things can change, but I know they like him. So looking down the road, potentially he can be a guy that can help them at safety in years to come.
Yeah.
Eric, one last thing for you from me. What is the biggest position group question mark that you have at this point, whether it's offensive line, secondary? What's the biggest thing you need to learn about Tennessee over these next couple of days going into week 1?
Well, we talked about it enough about the running backs, and the only thing I'll say about that is you just have 4. And, again, it's not nothing to panic over, but you only have 4. So, Tennessee had a walk-on running back that played significant snaps last year against Ole Miss. So, it's something to track. The secondary, I'm intrigued to see how cornerback kind of follows out. I think Kamal Hadden, if he's healthy, he needs to be out there. He's been banged up much of camp, but he started, coming back and practicing, at least in the individual periods that we saw towards the end of camp. Christian Charles, I mentioned, I think is going to play. You have Warren Burrell, who the coaching staff trusts, and who's a 3-year starter. So who are the first two out there, and how many will they play? I'm intrigued to see how that looks, but I do feel like Willie Martinez not only has the ability to play more, but will play more back there in the secondary. So I guess I'll go to defensive tackle. You got Amari Thomas you feel good about, a guy from Memphis, of course. Who's that other one that's going to step up, and how deep will they go? Bryson Eason's a guy that is going to play this year that hasn't played much. Of course, you got DJ Terry, you got Elijah Simmons, you got Latrell Bumpus that can play that spot, Jordan Phillips, and a couple of other guys. I think depth in the interior of the defensive line is something to pay attention to as well. So we'll have to see. But bottom line, I mean, compared to where they were at this point in time last year with the question marks and the unknowns and the depth, it's not perfect, but they're in a much better position right now than they've ever been under Josh Heupel.
With that being said about the interior guys, the surprise get late on signing day was Tyree West. Is he, developing enough to get into that rotation with those guys?
Yeah, I think his role will continue to grow as the season goes on. I mean, he just flashes athleticism. He had a really strong scrimmage. Rodney Gardner spoke with us a couple weeks ago, and when asked about Tyree West, it's just kind of, and this is something that everybody goes through. Tyler Barron even learned how to do it this past spring, but learning how to trust your coaches, just blindly following them, doing what they say, and doing it the way that they are teaching it. And I think that's something that Tyree West will continue to learn as his freshman season goes on. And, that's normal for a freshman. But you've got Dominic Bailey at that position as well. So I think Tyree West, Dominic Bailey will be the guys that will come in for Tyler Barron at that defensive end spot. I think you'll see him play, but I think you'll see his role continue to grow as the year goes on because he's explosive, he's athletic, and he's going to be a good football player. But I think it'll start small and then continue to grow as the season goes on.
Nice. Eric Cain has been our guest here on Ramon and Will. Eric, always appreciate the time. Follow him on Twitter @_Cainer, and we will do it again soon.
Absolutely.
Sounds great, guys. Go Braves.
Absolutely. Yes. Perfect way to end an interview. Thank you, Eric, hanging out with us here this morning on Ramon and Will. On the other side, let's react to a couple of those comments that he made, and specifically the position group that Eric isn't as worried about that I'm horrified of from a Tennessee Vols perspective. Wow. And the Music City Bowl is the reason why. Coming up next on Ramon and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of the time we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs simply because we're afraid of what we're going to hear most times. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed. It could be something small now that will become bigger later, or nothing at all. In these moments, you want a peace of mind, and that's when you need United Structural Systems. With USS, you get problem solvers, experts to educate you and help you understand what's happening with your home. USS will provide an honest diagnosis and stand by their work and warranties. I promise you that. USS is based right here in Middle Tennessee and is a member of our community, and y'all know I love that, okay? And you need to also. With it comes something as important to your home. USS is the company who cares and the company you can trust. USS, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Northern Alabama. Find them online at USSTN.com or call them at 615-227-2275. We guarantee our best. Call USS.
It's Ramona Will on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. A little bit of breaking Vols news this morning. Courtesy of Ryan Callahan, Go Vols 247, reporting that Tennessee linebacker William Mohan has been suspended indefinitely from all team activities after he was arrested Sunday on a domestic aggravated assault charge, according to a university spokesman who spoke to Go Vols 247 this morning. Will Bowling, Ramon Foster with you. Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. Josh Heupel not expected to speak to reporters until Monday. University spokesman saying Tennessee is aware of the arrest and that Mohan was immediately suspended indefinitely from all team activities.
Man, hey, men, keep your hands off of your women.
That's right.
If the girl ain't for you, don't want you, cool.
Yeah, that's right.
You're on a college campus, buddy.
That's right.
What the hell is wrong with y'all?
Appeared in 12 games last year, primarily playing special teams, finished the season with 9 tackles, 4 of which came game 1 against Bowling Green. So, a little bit of Tennessee news there with that. 615-737-1045 is the number. Eric Cain mentioning running backs and defensive line as the 2 positions that he is most concerned about. I'm going secondary, Ramon Foster.
Wow.
Because Tennessee was in the hundreds last year in pass defense in college football, and they had 2 NFL defensive backs on the roster. That's problematic.
That is, and considering what Tennessee likes to do offensively, teams will try to do the same thing to them. They're going to be challenged, and they're new young guys. So you're 100% correct on that one, Will. It's funny you picked that position.
Yeah.
And this will set up to where we're going the next hour as soon as our guy comes in hot. I'm worried about their left tackle position, and specifically week 2. Because this is the one thing. Pitt has a lot of defenders, man, that are sneakily good.
A lot of Rashad Weavers. That's the Pat Narduzzi way, right?
And it really is. Pitt has a program, man, that is allowed to develop guys because nobody watches like that. You ask any Tennessean, when was the last time you saw a Pitt Panthers football game? A what?
Yeah, right.
I probably think you're talking about the zoo or something.
Yeah, what a noon game on ESPN2 that I'm not going to watch.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
So that's the part that worries me. You go back end of the defense, I go front side of the offense is where I'm at. That left tackle position has to be a guy that understands what they're getting themselves into. And I'm not just saying offensive line because that's where I play. I'm saying offensive line because now we as fans of the game recognize how important that is. It's the same way, Will, is last line of defense.
And I think you're right in thinking that is a potential game wrecker for Tennessee when everything else on offense is so good. You know as well as anybody that if that position isn't good, it doesn't really matter how fast your freshman wide receiver is that's going to get big reps this year.
I mean, think about the plays in which you see Hendon Hooker or when it was Joe Milton set up in the backfield and having to go deep. Like those plays have to develop. That's one thing we speak about with Malik with the Titans. It's, he has to sit in there and let the plays develop. If you got no time and there's pressure, Will Anderson will be calling the lobby. Your parents are outside to take you to New York because you are now a first rounder.
And honestly, you talk about the anatomy of a national championship winning college football team. And even just a team that wants to win the SEC East, like Tennessee does as its next step in the maturation of this program. That's one position you have to have a 5-star at.
Yeah. It is.
In order to compete with Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah.
Josh Pate, our buddy at 247 Sports, has made this point that you could give me 25 4-star receivers.
Yeah.
And by the numbers, 247 Sports rivals would give you a top 10 recruiting class. Yep. Obviously, you can't just recruit 25 of one position. You can't just get 20, 25 of even the majority of one position.
Yep.
There are certain positions within college football that have more value than others. And to me, in the SEC, it's predicated based on really, really good wide receivers and really good edge rushers, which means that a 5-star left tackle, a blue chip left tackle, and a blue chip cover corner are 2 premium positions specifically within the Southeastern Conference. My worry about Tennessee is they have neither of those things.
No, they don't, which is why Nick Saban also went off about it.
How do you think Nick Saban has made all of his money?
Yeah. And why did he get mad at Deion?
It's because he always has really good left tackles and really, really good lockdown corners.
Which is why the Francis kid that committed to Michigan was so highly recruited.
Miami.
Yeah, Miami.
Yep.
if I can fast forward to next year's recruiting cycle, we need a blue chip left tackle.
And they've got one.
Yeah.
They've got a couple that are high 4-star guys.
They are, but also a 5-star like running back. As devalued as they are on the NFL level, they are uber important on the college level, Will. They just are, man. You need that guy that can go get it. So it's those are things that have to be adjusted moving forward. And, of course, having a 5-star quarterback, of course, that's the key that turns the entire car on, man. So we'll have that next year with Nico Iamaleava. And I did that right.
Yeah, you did.
Iamaleava.
Radio professional.
Iamaleava.
But, yes, Will, I'm with you. You take the back end of the defense. I'm taking the front line of the offensive as far as the offense goes with that left tackle position.
615-737-1045. Four's up, ladies and gentlemen, because it is time for the fourth quarter of the show. Fourth quarter of the show. First drive of the fourth quarter is going to tell us a lot. We're going to get a major energy boost. Skip the cup of coffee. You don't need it. You're going to crash at 2 p.m. anyway. But what doesn't give you a crash at 2 o'clock is the energy of one Ronald Sylvester Slay in the building in hour 4. Coming up next, 104.5 The Zone.
It is 9 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Titans gearing up for joint practice with the Arizona Cardinals coming up tomorrow. The teams have decided to not have a joint practice on Thursday as originally planned. Rookie wide receiver Kyle Phillips told Ramon and Will that he has developed a comfort level with QB1 Ryan Tannehill through practices and meetings. NFL teams have to trim their rosters from 85 to 80 by end of business today. Titans waived 4 players yesterday. Wide receiver Terry Godwin, outside linebacker Justin Lawler, cornerback Shakur Brown, and defensive back Shaheem Carter. Major League Baseball, Braves 2, Pirates 1. Yankees defeated the Mets 4-2. Braves 3 games behind the Mets in the NL East. And more baseball, this one of the Little League World Series variety. Nolensville just 1 win away from the U.S. Championship game in the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. After a rain delay of more than 2 hours, Nolensville beat Hagerstown, Indiana 5-2 in 7 innings. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On your over the Titans and the Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour of the show on this Tuesday morning. It is Ramon and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Will Bowling, Ramon Foster hanging out with you, and Jonathan Schaefer behind the glass. Ron Slay coming up in 15 minutes, and he'll be saying those words live and in person for you on 104.5 The Zone, as well as 104.5 The Zone TV, where you can watch the show on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitter. Big headline today was off the practice field yesterday. The Tennessee Titans with Dylan Radins getting some work at left guard with the twos. Nicholas Petit-Frere appearing to lock down the right tackle spot, and Roger McCreary getting the start opposite Christian Fulton with the ones at the cornerback position. Lots of position battles that are starting to provide us a little bit more clarity.
This is good seeing your young guys kind of emerge like this, though, because technically your 2 guys are what you consider vets, or at least they've been around the moon one time on being on the NFL roster. And if those rookies who have come in and made the impact that they have this soon, one tells you got a good group, good bunch. Like, we hadn't spoken about a group like this since I've been doing the show, so that's always good. But it better, man, make those guys that's kind of getting, overlooked a little bit, or they're being paired to a rookie, say, hey, I need to go. Yep. So this can be a good thing, man. I know we're talking, a lot about those 2 cats, those 2 positions, but you got to go now. There's no sitting back anymore when you're in competition with guys. Like, you can be a great teammate and also be in competition with somebody too.
Absolutely right. 615-737-1045, the number. Important couple of weeks for Dylan Radins. How quickly he can take to a new position, potentially. Mike Vrabel still tempering expectations yesterday, saying that they just wanted to get a look at him there with some other injuries they have, namely Jamarco Jones at that position. But I do think it changes the evaluation process a little bit, Ramon, for Malik Willis and Logan Woodside in these preseason games.
Yeah.
Because one of our critiques of the offense and of that process against Tampa was that it's hard to really tell what is Malik Willis simulating pressure and what is, hey, there's so much pressure that he doesn't have the time to go through his reads and get rid of the football. Yeah. This gives you a second-round pick that's going to play with the twos and maybe give you a little bit of boost at that position in the second quarter beyond of preseason game 3 Saturday against Arizona.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. It's the growth that's going to be necessary for us to actually have a complete team here, man. This should be some good quality work. Me personally, as the Arizona Cardinals come into Nashville this week, Vrabel said, as far as health concerns, they're going to pull back as far as this work that you're going to get.
Right.
I was hoping that one day actually turned into a real dress rehearsal since it's week 3. We get an opportunity to see all the guys. We get an opportunity to watch them, do work. As you said, these young guys kind of need it. And honestly, as far as Traylon Burks is concerned, delivering the ball to him, like actually delivering the ball to him and
letting him be the focal point.
Yeah, man. D-Hop, do we know if he's practicing this week or not? DeAndre Hopkins, nuke.
That's a good question.
Because if that's the case, you got Roger McCreary or Caleb Farley. You know who's not going to take it easy on them as far as second-year guys, as far as young guys? It'll be D-Hop.
Right.
And A.J. Green is still on this roster. So the amount of work that can be gotten, the way they're setting us up, Will, specifically for those second-year guys and these rookies, at the point you bring up, it should be a good showing. It should be what you need out of a group to kind of excel if they don't play in this game. And by they, I'm meaning all your starters.
DeAndre Hopkins is practicing a little bit with Arizona right now. Kind of a difficult situation for him, obviously, with his suspension. 6-game suspension, so won't be able to suit up until October 20th against New Orleans in Week 7. But has been healthy through camp after a pretty injury-plagued 2021. You forget, too, just the differences in roster construction between Arizona and Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee only needs 6 receivers maximum. Arizona's probably 7 or 8 at least because of how much 10 personnel they run with 1 running back, no tight ends, and 4 wide receivers within Cliff Kingsbury's offense. I think this is going to be a really interesting evaluation process for Roger McCreary and Caleb Farley.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Ramon, this is the first time we can see the way the Titans will match up against different profiles of receivers.
Oh, yeah.
You have DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green, the bigger, more physical guys that are going to require a certain kind of defensive back.
Yeah.
And then you've got Rondale Moore.
Yep.
Marquise Brown. Andy Isabella. You've got former Vol Javonte Payton. That's going to be in the mix for the Arizona Cardinals this week. Catching passes from Jarrett Garantano, which is a little bit of Volception, if you will. I think this is good to see how the Titans match up because with the depth they have at the cornerback position, doesn't have to be the same starting 4 in the defensive secondary or 5, if you will, in base nickel set. They can change those bodies and change those guys around based on who the wide receivers are on the other side of the ball.
Oh, no doubt about it. This is also hilarious as I'm speaking of that. I'm not segueing, you will. But I'm looking at the depth chart for the Arizona Cardinals. They got Kyler Murray as a 4th string.
Oh, really?
They have
offensive coordinator Kyler Murray.
They got DeAndre Hopkins as a 4th string wide receiver. Also, it's comical on how they're able to do this. And Colt
pretty good practice squad.
QB1. Jarrett Garantano will be in town too, man, getting some work in. But yes, to your point about the different types of wide receivers you're going to see. One thing we did mention is Caleb Farley got beat deep in the game also by a wide receiver.
That's
going
right.
against Marquise Brown. Going against DeAndre Hopkins.
Not a fast twitch right there.
Javonte.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, this is going to be a challenge. Like, one day might be enough to say, okay, we saw what they offer in Tampa, who's a system methodical, like, hey, I need you on your spots, to where these guys are mostly all young. I mean, D-Hop ain't young, but he still has a lot of legs underneath him.
When healthy, he's probably the 2nd best receiver in football behind Devontae Adams.
Come on, man.
He only has 2 legs underneath him at all times. I'm just saying.
See,
man,
Mr. Technicality back here.
Fair.
Aside from that, what we're saying is this, though, Will, to your point. You get a variation of what your corners are going to see this year. This team right here is known to be able to take the top off.
Right.
And if they don't play in the game, you're still probably going to see Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, at wide receiver. You're going to get some reps with D-Hop. And on the other side of it, though, too, you really get an opportunity to see what Kyle Phillips is going to be able to do against these corners. Like, what is he going to look like against Budda Baker if he decides to cover him, and Byron Murphy Jr.? Like, that's where we are right now, too, and trying to figure this whole thing out, Will, with these joint practices. My dream, can I give you my dream?
Please do.
One practice, joint practice against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
You dress rehearsal this weekend.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Use this practice as I want to see Tannehill.
I do too. And Kevin Dyson had an interesting comment about this on Titans Talk Back Saturday, where he basically said, depending on how good joint practices go, that will decide whether or not my starters play on Saturday. Said if joint practices look good, there's no major issues, we're not throwing picks, we're not having the football thrown over our heads, then I'm going to give you Saturday off.
Yeah.
But if not, it's a work day.
Yeah. Taylor, and I had a conversation with him out there, and this is my first day out there, and Taylor was just like, he just wants us to grind. If we're working, we're good.
Taylor Watt was in their game too.
Yeah, I know. And for a good little bit, too, for a guy who's
but
a starter,
also.
man. Yeah, they played a good little bit. I want to see it, man, but Vrabel has his ways in which he operates, and you can't push up against what a coach knows is good for his team. Right. I know we want to feed the beast will and say, hey, he's this or he's that, or, we should have saw that when it comes down to the team. You're playing an NFC team, your first opening game here in Nashville, so it's a factor of you, honestly. If you're going to game prep, I mean, Arizona's the perfect team to do it against.
Sure.
Daniel Jones is not a runner, but now it's the part in camp to where you can start installing some of your week one stuff as you continue to – what was that ding over? As you continue to develop a team throughout training camp.
So am I allowed to just make just an outrageous statement about Kyler Murray right now?
100%.
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
We can't.
Okay.
No.
Oh, I gave you the green light.
So Kyler Murray is known as a big gamer. He's like a Twitch streamer of Call of Duty and video games, and
like for real.
Like legitimately, like I think owns a gaming company. Roger Saffold owns a company as well.
Kind of led to a clause in his contract.
Yeah, hopefully Kyler's doing his homework on the road. I know that's tough this week. So in football games played before, this is my favorite stat of the football offseason.
By the way, he's going to be at Game Galaxy this week. Kyler Murray, of course he is.
Game Galaxy? What's that?
Game Galaxy. Just one of the arcades here in town. That was Game Galaxy. I was wrong.
GameStop was the one I always went to. That's tough. In games played before the annual Call of Duty release over his career, Kyler Murray has averaged 22.5 fantasy points. In games played after the annual Call of Duty release, Kyler Murray has averaged 17.4 fantasy points per week. That is a decline of 22.7%. These are the analytics that we bring you on this show.
How do we even think to go track this? The boy is staying up all night, man. The kid is staying up all night playing video games.
That's why he has to do homework.
That's cold-blooded.
I mean, literally. And now he's calling offenses. I wonder how much of the offense Kyler Murray will call on Saturday.
Speaking of which, did they win this game, too?
They did not.
They do.
The Baltimore Ravens have now won 22 consecutive preseason games.
That's right.
They're the preseason Super Bowl champions. Hang the banner. The Nashville Predators might actually hang a banner for the Baltimore Ravens.
I'll take that instead of the what is it, 5-year running summertime champ Cleveland Browns.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
AFC finalist Indianapolis Colts. They have that up as a banner in Lucas Oil Stadium.
I'll fight you right now.
No, they do. AFC finalist.
Oh.
Have you not seen that?
Low bar. Oh, my God.
Could you imagine what your fans of Pittsburgh would have said if you try to hang an AFC finalist banner?
Man, fans anywhere. Who was it? Was it Barnes that had the banners pulled down for NIT stuff? Like, dog, throw a basketball at those things. Like, why are we?
Great, Bob.
We're good. We're good.
Let's get Ron Slay's thoughts on that coming up.
Savage.
Ron Slay, not a banner hanging kind of guy.
No, man. Either you do or you don't with him.
I do want to know how many vacations to islands Ron Slay has taken or teammates have taken during practice. So something that I'm curious.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. Because he went overseas to play. It's probably different over there.
I was going to say, I don't see Ron Slay as a guy that's leaving practice to go to the Bahamas, but maybe some of those teammates.
Yeah.
The dude's got a story for everything.
He does.
Audio Adrenaline coming up next. Skip the pot of coffee. It's Ron Slay on 104.5 The Zone. It's Ramona Willow, 104.5 The Zone. Hanging out with you on this Tuesday. Will Bowling and Ramon Foster. Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. Ron Slade coming up in a moment when he decides to grace us with his presence.
Yeah.
That's not the live Ron Slade yet, but it will be in a moment.
It will be. And he likes that drop too, man.
Oh, that's the best.
He likes that drop too. You want to ask him about middle of camp vacations. I also want to ask him about guys who have been in competition for positions.
Yeah.
And I heard Ron say this numerous times, man. He had much rather come off the bench in college than he would have been a starter. Right. I love to know why and what, you know?
I want to get inside the psychology of that, plus this part of training camp and of just a practice camp of basketball, football, whatever it is.
Yeah.
When you're a veteran and you know you got your spot.
Oh, man.
And there's, 2 weeks left now?
Yeah. You know what was my biggest thing?
A little bit of a wall right now.
Mine was if I was in the last year of a contract, don't get hurt right now.
Yeah, right.
Don't get hurt, baby. Like
easy does it.
As much as you say, I'm not on it's on your mind. And as a starter, it's especially when you got guys behind you too that are in. I always thought my job was on the line.
Yeah,
I tricked myself into believing these things.
Absolutely.
So I was like, I don't not ever want to not start the season off as a day one starter.
Sure.
Like, even if I'm penciled in as a guy, I never wanted to have a sprained ankle or a tear somewhere to
want to get Wally pipped.
My backup went in week one. I'm like, God, and it's going to be so crunk week one.
That's
you know,
right.
like, why did I go all the way through camp?
Yeah, right.
And here I
hate it here.
I hate it here. This last 10 days, however long it is, it's just, boy, make it to Labor Day.
So I think that's interesting because going to practice yesterday at Tennessee Titans training camp, it was interesting watching just how easy and carefree things were today.
Mm-hmm.
That surprised me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they're off today. It's a walkthrough today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So those veterans have had a lot of days off at this point.
Yeah, they have.
Because you're thinking about Thursday last week was their last practice.
Wow.
Friday they have off.
Yep.
Saturday's the game.
Yep.
Sunday they have off. And then Monday is you're just in jerseys and shorts.
Were they really in jersey shorts?
Jersey shorts yesterday.
What the hell? This is Camp Cushy right now, man.
Ramon is so bitter.
And then today,
bitter.
And then today they're off. And then they already canceled practice for Thursday. And so really it's just a work day tomorrow and then Saturday. So Mike Vrabel is, I think, thinking the way that you did of like, hey, at this point, I'm just trying to.
Oh, whoa.
I mean, according to Taylor Lewan has said on part of my take before that Vrabel's saying he likes to use is like, guys have played 13 years in this league. That's like his thing, like Coach Mack being like, I coached this league for 35 years. I know a thing or two.
You get it.
And that's apparently like Vrabel's saying of like, guys, I played this league for 13 years. I know when you need a day off and you need a day off.
So, but that's a cool thing as far as having that player.
That's why guys want to play for Mike Vrabel.
And so that's always frowned upon by people that don't get it though. Will, he's a player's coach. No, damn that. Like, he know what the guys need and what would make them rally. Like,
but you say he's just a friend.
I'll tell you this. I bet you not one of those guys want to step out of line.
That was funnier
with Vrabel.
No, you're right.
But you say he's just a friend. Oh baby, you got what I need. But you say he's just a friend.
Yeah, there you go.
But you say he's just a friend.
Serotonin.
Oh, baby, you. That's
the serotonin boost you needed on a Tuesday.
That's the Vrabel take right there, man.
Vrabel knows what you need.
Yeah, but
and you say it's just a
day off.
Jerseys and shorts.
Listen to me. You get your guys to battle for you, Will. When you do that type of stuff, they will rally for you because you know what the vets are saying? Y'all better get y'all stuff together because we like these days. If he say run 5, run 10. Okay? Like,
that's true.
It's the player coach aspect and simply the conversation he had about Farley. Being too wound up. Like, who is actually going to see that? Other than a guy that's probably been in that position trying to prove himself like Mike Vrabel was. Like,
right.
And then the thing about him, he wasn't cut out of Pittsburgh, was he, Shafe? He just wasn't re-signed.
Who was that?
Vrabel. Pittsburgh was the original team.
He wasn't re-signed. Yeah, he went to the Patriots. I was thinking it was a trade, but that might not be right.
Trade was with Kansas City.
Yeah, that's right.
Trade was Kansas
Yeah,
City.
they just chose not to resign him. He signed as a free agent with the Patriots.
He's been through all of the loops of like the league as a player.
He knows the intricacies of different stages of wanting a trade, wanting a new deal somewhere else, and wanting to just stand pat and win a job where you are.
Yeah, I'm not saying this person's name as because where I was during my playing career, but Coach Tomlin was like that, and I feel like Vrabel's kind of picking up a lot of those things. Not in comparison. I say this: Vrabel already got a 1-up on Coach T.
Yeah,
he's got the Coach of the Year.
That's true. Walk into the building right now.
Fresh kicks, fresh bowls, and the fresh
Slay's in the building. You're gonna hear him in a minute.
I gotta stop.
Look at him, his eye closed.
I had
What's
to
happening?
stop.
How we doing?
Yeah.
Just missed our Slay just missed our sing along in here singing You Got What I Need. You say he's just a friend.
But I turned that Webby
okay.
on for him real quick. Trill Young Savage. You can see Young Savage over there. All right, well, it's a portion of the show. You can back away now.
Yeah, y'all enjoy. If anybody needs me, I'll be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. 104.5 The Zone. Ramon and Will.
Ramon and Will with Ron Slay. Walk in your trap.
Man, take over your
Take
trap.
over your trap.
Savage and Will. Savagery and Will.
Savagery.
You know it. What's happening?
morning.
What's happening?
How are you?
I'm cool, man.
How my nephew? How baby ball this morning?
He been doing his thing, man. You know, getting up extra early. He told me you ain't even got to get up yet.
Did he?
Oh.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm dressed. I'm eating my cereal, you know what I mean? But made the peanut and jellies and stuff last night. So I got ahead of the curve.
There you go.
Can I embarrass myself real quick?
Of course. It's always welcome.
My sons, his nephews, your friends now,
Uh-huh.
have never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Have they not?
It's on him to give it to him.
Wow.
Guess what? That'll be done.
I was going to say.
That'll be done. Don't you worry about that, Will. That's all going to be taken care
Part
of.
of your U.S. citizenship
Hey,
test.
man, Savage getting our weekends back, man. Don't even trip.
See, I just love a peanut butter sandwich. Like, I don't even need the jelly.
Will. This ain't the time for that. This is not the time.
So
for
I'll
that.
tell you.
No.
No, I'll tell you when I started liking that. Though. I'll tell you when I started doing that was at UT. At UT in the nutrition bar after practice.
Yeah, the fancy.
You'd walk across the football field and go into nutrition, and they had
the fancy one.
They had homemade peanut butter right there.
Keep talking, so me and Ron can get mad at you.
And the peanut butter was good enough. It was. They would take the peanuts.
Yep, I know.
And they would literally
exactly
fresh grind it right there. And the peanut butter didn't need any more
keep going,
flavor.
Will.
Yeah, it was good.
Like what?
Keep going.
What are you talking about, Will?
Just put 2 pieces of bread and that peanut butter in it.
We had Jiffy.
Yeah, William, you better get that Jiffy and roll with it. You know what I mean?
I thought
Crustable, yeah.
I thought Jiff was just like an animated
I went
video.
back. This is era, 2011-ish, like maybe 13. No. I had both my boys then. This is like 14.
Okay.
When they had the new weight room. 14, 15, right?
It was my freshman year was when it opened.
This
My
is
senior year of
Butch's
high school.
first
I was
year.
on my recruiting visit.
Yeah.
So it was fall of 2013 when it was done. Or 2014. 2014.
Yeah, I told you 14 because
you were-
Miles was with us.
Yeah.
Hey, fresh made peanut butter. And I'll say this, there is a difference.
That's crazy.
It's a difference.
It is
in the
so
weight
good.
room, Savage.
That's crazy.
You know what we had in the old weight room at UT in the back corner
already
by the
know.
glass mirror.
because that's where I worked out.
Yep.
Because they gave the Olympic
Thought
sports.
ass back
They
over
gave
there.
the Olympic sports the corner weight room.
Maybe you ain't add enough to the university at the time.
That's
you know
correct.
what I mean?
Oh, there's no-
You could have roamed freely.
There's
you know?
no question
I
about
got
that.
to work out with the football guys. I got to work out with the football
Well, see,
team.
that's
you know what I'm
because
just
you a
saying?
savage
I'm
like
just
that.
saying.
So, speaking of
bring
that,
certain things to it. You know what I mean?
did you ever take any Bahamas vacations? Wow. That was just out of nowhere. Did you ever take any
The kids are at school. We're good.
It's live now.
It's live. that's officially the kids' birthday party. They're turning to the grown-ups' birthday
It's
party.
going down.
It's going. What a liquor at, Savage.
It's time to get it, baby.
At 9:29 a.m. Anyway.
What will?
You ever take any Bahamas vacations during camp?
Nah, man, I never took any vacations. I think we did have guys that would. Now we would go during the season though, but we had a Amalfi Coast that we would go to, that was real close for us being in Italy.
I was gonna say with where you were, I figured somebody on that team at least was doing what Tom Brady just did. And peacing out and saying, hey, I'm gone.
But the thing is, you got to clear it. You got to clear it with your teammates. You know what I mean? Clear it with management, and if everybody sign off on it, you free to go. Like I flew to we played Bologna in Bologna, Italy. It was an early game. I think we played like 2:00 game. Was over by about 6, and I flew out I think we ended up playing on a Friday. I flew out and went to New York that Saturday and Sunday and flew back in on Monday.
I remember you doing that.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I remember you doing that.
Yeah, so, I mean, as long as it signed off. Now, we did have a guy named Carlton Myers who was he was the Italian Jordan, if you will. You know what I mean? He's from London, you know what I mean? Had mixed parents. His father was from London. His mom was from Italy. So he had a dual citizenship. And I remember this what rubbed us wrong.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this and see? And see, this is why I say you got to get it signed off on.
Yeah.
So we're in the preseason. The preseason grind in Europe is totally different than an NBA grind, college grind, anything. Like you going 3 to 4 times a day. You in the mountains for 7 to 8 days, and then then you come back to the city, get acclimated. But you still going twice a day. You know, sometimes 3 times. We had the luxury of our practice facility looking on to, it was like a little fake beach. It was real ocean, but little beach, you don't need to be walking out there with no shoes off. You know what I mean? Little rocks and stuff all in the way. But it looked beautiful from the practice facility. You know what I'm saying? So we grinding. We're about 15 days in, and all we keep hearing about is Carlton Myers. Carlton Myers. We're like, okay, who the OG, you know what I mean? This, that, and the other, you know. When he get here, it's going to be time to grind. We really going to get it. Because
really going to go.
Man, like, this was one of the only teams. We had, like, 5 Americans. And it's not able, you're not able to do that.
Set him up.
Oh, yeah. This is beautiful. You about to be able to go on your farewell tour. It's on, like, he got a resume that is crazy.
Like Diana Taurasi.
Oh, man, 81 points, you know what I mean? Like, he's silly. It's silly. Like, when you say Carlton Myers' name over there, you talking about a big-time guy. So we like, all right, when he coming? A couple days go by. We about 15 days in. We out there grinding. They was like, he's going to be at practice today. We was like, oh, okay. So, you know what I mean? He going to work his way in. You know what I mean? Get some little shooting drills or something in. Man, they announced this. First of all, the public know about it. The fans and European fans are crazy in all sports. Soccer, basketball, whatever it is. They coming.
Okay.
So they outside. I mean, you can see them. They lined up. Wow. You know what I mean? They got little kids climbing on top of each other, looking in the window, see who practicing. You know what I mean? So this is our first time, you know what I mean, seeing the whole fan base. We putting on the show. You know what I mean? Jones going, boom, you know what I mean, tearing it down. We going hard in 3-on-3. Like, we got it going. Man, don't y'all know, man, this man walk in at the end of practice. Sandals on.
No.
The swimming trunks on, no shirt.
The European style.
Oh, like he just got
the hoochie daddies.
What?
The Buck Rising.
The Buck Rising 20s.
Yeah, the wind blow, man. You got to make sure you pull your pants leg down. Them kind of shorts. I'm like, hold up, man. So listen what I'm telling you, man. This man here.
This is a night out in Venice.
Dude. And then he got the fresh baldy, you know what I mean? Fresh bald head. And he in shape. You know what I mean?
How tall?
Carlton about 6'4".
Okay, so he got good size
What
on.
you're saying is there is a very, very, very small list of athletes that can pull that off.
Yes.
And that list might just be Tom Brady's name on a sheet of paper.
And Carlton Myers, if you're talking about Italy. Dude, the man walked in, man.
There's a certain level.
We like, what are he doing, man? He ain't what's this right here?
He know we
man,
practicing.
the man went up in the crowd and started signing autographs.
I'll fight you right now.
I looked at Coach. I said, hey, what's this? And then they had the team manager, his name was Dan Gay. Black guy, man, real cool, been over in Italy for years. You know what I mean? He's like, hey, don't trip. He trying to calm us down. I said, hey, man, no, this ain't what this is, man. This man ain't practicing none of the preseason. Y'all finna let this man come in and start.
Yeah.
Like, nah, man, we ain't going down with it. It ain't going down with that. We had a meeting the next day.
Oh, wow. And so, hold up. He stayed up there in the crowd.
Yeah, no. He signed a couple autographs, Savage, and bounced.
Oh!
And left. And was like,
okay.
Didn't come to the team huddle like, I'm going to meet y'all.
I'm in my fields now.
Oh, Savage. I was
So how did he play once he actually started playing?
Man, the man can shoot, but he's old and it ain't no respect there because we ain't going to. We was all about like building him up. All you need to play is about 13, 14 minutes a game.
Right.
Yeah.
He can average 8, 9 points like this easy. We're going to get him open.
Yeah, right.
It's your team.
Yeah.
When you pull that, man, we automatically X them out.
So the team meeting.
Oh, yep. Hey man, Coach, I
know you. Yeah,
I can't wait. I can't wait to speak up. Yeah, man. So, I'm like, hey man, no, this ain't going down like this, man. We up here practicing like this, dog. Forget that. By this time, I'm about a 5-6 year vet. Man, I'm me. over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the whole country
You are
know
that
me.
guy.
Come on, man.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Ain't
You're
nothing
him.
moving without me. You know?
You're him.
Plus, I'm known for speaking up. Hey, man, we ain't going for this, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he can't be a part of the team, dude, he don't need to be a part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let him go win it on his own. Either he can play with us or we won't play.
Oh.
One of the two. Y'all make the decision. He backdoored it.
What?
And went to the Italian newspaper and said, man, see, this is why I can't stand Americans. I'd rather lock them in.
Wow.
I lock them in a room with my dogs. He had two Doberman pinchers. I lock them in a room with my dogs, man, and just leave them in there, man, to get them some, get them humble. I'm saying, so we don't know none of this going on, Savage. We don't know none of this going on because it's in the Italian paper. It's in Italian. We ain't reading that. You know what I mean? 2 days later, some of the fans came to us and translated. I said, oh, no. Hey, man, anybody go to practice, you ain't rocking with me.
Yeah.
We all in my crib chilling, big
Y'all,
chilling.
so they followed you.
Yeah, big chilling.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He show up, you know what I mean? He got to call another meeting like, hey, dog, I didn't mean it this way.
Yeah,
yes,
you did.
You said it.
Hell yeah, you
We just
did.
didn't think we was going to find out about it. You know what I mean? So that led to us having, we had a championship team.
Yeah.
It led to us being rocky, and then in them controversial moments of the season,
You can do that,
you
though.
couldn't
Just
bring
like that.
everybody back in together, man.
that's
So
right.
you lose that type of respect when you don't get it signed off of. If you're gonna be a leader,
God,
you
that's
gotta lead differently.
We
You know
had
what
a
I'm
guy
saying?
like that, man, respectable guy, but hadn't gotten the high accolades, and he was a new guy to our team. Training camp started off, do the condition test, and boy, that growing. Boy, that growing. The entire camp. It got so bad that even the training room knew it. They would send his butt to the city to get an MRI on his hamstring and on his growing almost daily. And you know that costs too, right? They would send him there daily. It's like 45, 50 minutes. And then you get to the machine, it's another 45, 50 minutes per test. They started wasting his time because we knew and they knew when you have like an issue on your MRI, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it shows up white. They said he had none of that. There was no strain, no nothing. He just simply finessed the system enough for him to actually get through training camp and not practice with us. And was a starter, a free agent guy to our team too. So yeah, you either will to that point about who's allowed to, you better have a whole lot of stock in that team or around the league. And don't be a detriment during the season. We're out here banging. Well, like Brady's different. He's untouchable.
Literally, and I think there might be 2 or 3 athletes in any sport right now that could pull this off. Because even at this point, like even LeBron James, I don't know if he could pull this off. I'm just going to the Bahamas for 2 weeks.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
You know.
That's why I say
But
that.
see, Brady
LeBron just took vacation all of last season.
I mean, that's part of it.
I would have
that's
too.
That's the point I'm making.
AD
Is that
gone. Like, I'm out.
he hasn't played well enough to justify going to the Bahamas for 2 weeks and everybody else is working.
Yeah, Brady, apparently, you remember you retired.
Yeah.
And I guarantee his wife, he made a lot of incentives behind, and we did.
We said this. I said this Thursday. I said this was 100% something. He said, if I'm going to unretire, guys, then I get a couple weeks off when y'all go to Tennessee.
I know it. We spoke about it. I almost went to your teammate yesterday. Babsy.
Yeah.
Because what Giselle says, gonna go. Ain't nothing like the Terradome. Okay, you know what the Terradome is, Will? When you get to that point, you don't want to be there. It's when wifey, she ain't happy in the house, okay? And Giselle probably said, Thomas. If you take your back out here,
Timothy,
we got conditions. And when this Bahamas trip came up, she said, "We going."
He's nuts.
You don't want to go like Babs was saying. No, Giselle ain't. No.
Oh no, yeah, 100%.
And so he got to go home with her.
Yeah, he do.
Babs can talk all that crap she wants to. Tom got to hear it.
So my
Look,
thing
we
was,
said on this show when this whole thing went down, and we looked at what time of the year it was. And they said, well, Brady's got personal matters. Y'all know they got a non-refundable.
There you go.
You knew they were
That's
gone.
it.
And
That's
you
it.
knew all the kids were there.
That's
And
it.
Giselle was there. And this
That's
like, hey, y'all, look at the time. I got to bounce. I'll be back.
Yeah.
I'll be
I
back.
promise y'all I'll be
come back from the gas station. I'll be fueled up. I'll have Reds. I'll be ready to go. But I
Guaranteed.
got to head out to the quick sack first.
Hey,
That's what Tom told the team.
What did Tom Brady look at the team and say? You going to read my mind?
No, I can't.
He said, I am the captain now.
Oh, okay. All right,
You
come on.
damn
We
right.
ain't there yet.
Yeah,
We ain't
come on,
there yet.
we don't let it work.
You were born yesterday. You knew.
All right.
Just go jump in there like a little rabbit, man. just bouncing all around. Come on, just bouncing all around.
I got milk around this whisper still.
Right behind your ears.
Do the work.
Right behind your ears.
I feel like I'm
Hey,
on.
you don't do nothing but push the buttons.
I'm not that guy.
You
I'm not that guy.
Boy.
I'm not that guy.
Man.
You're not that
Smell
guy.
like Similac.
I feel like I'm on. I think this just became a political talk show because we all started talking at once.
Everybody understood who they needed to understand.
And we all said the same thing.
Exactly.
I didn't understand what any of you said, but at the same time, I understood what all of you said.
Hey, let me say this real quick, though.
Go ahead.
This is the thing. If you got to get it signed off on, man. If you don't get that signed off on, Tom Brady doesn't walk back into that team with the same
It's a good story.
cachet that he has before he left. You know what I'm saying? And I guarantee, like y'all said, they understood that. I'm coming back, y'all. Don't trip. I got to handle this. And if you know about the Terror Dome, like you just said, every dude on that team going to be like, hey,
I got
handle
you.
it,
When
dog.
they walk by Giselle,
Say no
Giselle,
more.
how you doing?
Hey, how was that
Y'all
trip?
enjoy your time? I heard.
How the kids?
I saw the pictures.
How's that trip? That looked awesome.
I gotta ask Savage something on the way back, man.
Okay.
Because I feel like either you've been in a situation or you knew about it too.
I also I've got one headline that just came out of very good news for sports fans watching football on television.
Okay.
This
Well,
season.
if it ain't DirecTV passing around this Sunday ticket, then I don't want it.
I don't either.
That's so you don't have a password for me?
For Sunday ticket?
That's
no,
tough.
I was waiting on you. That's what the street light is for.
Maybe I'll
Better
get
go
one
start
after this on
hustling.
104.5 The Zone.
Get it.
My back wouldn't hurt.
Now batting for one final segment, Ramon and Will.
What?
On 104.5 The Zone, welcome in. Will Bowling, Ramon Foster, Ron Slade, Jonathan Schaefer. There's a lot of energy in this room right now.
It is. That's how it's got
Some audio adrenaline. This song really does get the people going.
It does.
Hey.
That's your Euro tip, right?
Hey, boy, I was just finna say, man. Hey, boy, you
just went
catch me
back
in
to
Milan at about
Slade
3 in the morning right
Slade
now
just
with a
went back
bottle
to
in my hand.
a hazy Milan bar.
Full-fledged sweat. I'm talking about. Hey, let me tell you what I used to do over there, man.
Slade just got teleported to another country
Hey,
and time
dog,
zone.
by 2, 3 in the morning, man. Hey, I'll be right there at peak time. You know what I mean? It's going
Slade's looking
down.
at his watch right now going,
Hey,
oh.
dog.
What time's practice?
DJ Freeze, I never forget. I still my guy. Stay in touch with him. He used to always say, "Hey man, you can't get the mic before 3." Cause dude, I'll get that mic. He never get it back. Like I'm like, dude, I was going to the bathroom with the mic. Hey, y'all don't know what y'all doing, but it's going down. Like, hey,
in the bathroom?
In the bathroom. I'm taking the mic everywhere. Putting it in my back pocket. Like the DJ ain't got no mic no more. Hey boy, they just
Is that a mic in your pocket? I'm just happy to see me.
Most definitely both. Hey man,
Oh, my
for
gosh.
real, dog.
That's
Yeah, man.
fantastic.
Man, we need to take a trip to Milan, man, for the weekend.
That's
dog.
our trip since the boys have
Yeah.
gotten older.
Yeah.
Go
We
see some
have-
soccer?
We're going.
In Milan, yes. In Milan.
Why did you have to ruin this?
William.
Because Slay has said
William.
before that it's lit.
Yeah, but
Almost
William, that ain't for
through
everybody.
the
Like I was a
camera.
part. I had to engulf myself
In
in the
Milan,
court.
it's for everybody.
All right, Will. He gonna need a
All
nap.
right, well, I guess I'll just.
All right,
Slay,
let
you
me
want
reset
to
it real
show up
quick.
and do the show tomorrow now? Since I'm getting.
We're gonna get there.
I'm gonna get suspended for 3 to 5 business days.
What I was gonna say is this. I asked you before we're coming up.
Yeah.
You've been in a position where either you've been fighting for a position. You
Yeah.
said you felt better coming off the bench. Just in general, man. Like for Caleb, for Dylan, where are you at with them dudes?
Man, I'm a big advocate for finishing the game.
Okay.
That was always my thing, and I always felt like when I was able to come off the bench, I was able to see the game a different way, and see exactly what the team was missing. So that's why I thrived in that position. Plus, coming into it where it's veterans already in it, they're in a bit of a different situation because they are the guys in a sense. They got to get ready, but I was coming into a situation where it was already vets there, and in order to not necessarily not step on their toes, but push them to the brink to where they got to bring it every time. And you know, once I come in, it's an automatic charge to the crowd. Then I used to also love to put the pressure on the coach.
Okay.
Because the first person that's going to get the blame when I'm not starting is the coach. So I'm cool. I'm cool at any point. But I was that confident in my game. I was that confident in practice. Anybody you talk to, reporters or anything, Chris Lowe was on our show talking about it the other day. And Cutcliffe also. Like, I was the exact same in practice. So, like, if it was a great play, without the crowd being there, I was pumping up the crowd in practice. So, you know what I'm saying? That was some of my so it wasn't did I prefer to do it? I was just willing to do it because nobody else was.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Real quick on the other side. When we went out to practice for the first time, I said Radens looked comfortable.
Yeah.
And I thought he had it. Right now, he's tit for tat.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
What do you say to a guy like him in this position?
Man,
Because I've been there personally. I
Right.
talked about it. You seen anybody else who's like, it's yours. And then it's like saying through your hand.
It happens a lot of
Hourglass.
times. It happens a whole lot of times. I just think that if I'm in Raiders, if I'm in his shoes, I'm looking at it as, okay, they see something here where they're giving me an opportunity in other spots where they see I am a commodity to this team. Like, they don't want to let me go. Now, I got to do my part and show up. Because if I don't show up, then they can plug me and go. And I can just be like what y'all say, the swing guy. Like, I can just be, you don't want to be that guy. I'd rather have my feet planted on the ground and be able to reach and do a whole lot of other things than be that guy that's coming, hey, Ramon, we got a Band-Aid. Ramon's out. That's Band-Aid ratings in right there. Ramon's back. Oh, let's take him out. Ramon, you got your spot. I don't want to be you got your spot back guy. You know what I'm saying? So that's my take on it, man.
Interesting.
That's a hard life to live. Like,
It is.
if you right-minded, dog, and I tell anybody this, the life, the show, coming out of that doggone tunnel, the jersey, the pamphlet seeing your name as a starter.
When it's right,
and
it's very
now,
right.
At
Yeah.
left, oh my God.
And then when it's bad, you got the bitterness that you can't feel then.
But Will, when you get that,
yeah, right.
I promise you, I wasn't going back.
Yeah.
If Ratings wants it, and once he hear that at left guard,
Ain't nothing like it.
oh my, like
Doesn't matter what position.
it don't matter.
You
Will,
got it.
I
You
ain't-
got the
that was
feeling.
my biggest. I was
Sure.
fighting about not going back to the bench.
Yeah.
Will,
Yeah, I get it.
I ain't going back, and that's where you want for him, man.
Yeah.
Ron Slay, thank you.
Man, no
Thank
doubt,
you for
man.
energizing us for our day.
No doubt,
Even
man.
though I'm gonna go take a nap, probably coinciding with your nap time too.
He learning.
Yeah, but see, you gotta be able to time it, Will. See, I take a nap at about 11 o'clock, so I watch an hour Buck show, then I go down for an hour, and then I catch the last, the last segments.
I mean, an hour Buck show would cause you to go down for that.
Hey now, coming up straight. Teasing before the break, YouTube TV is going to let you watch 4 football games at once now on one screen. So.
Hey now, oh, are they really?
Good day. It's a good
YouTube
day.
TV.
YouTube TV is going to let you watch four shows at once.
Shout out to brother
4 games at
Josh.
once.
What is
YouTube TV
Praise
gonna
God.
allow you to watch 4 games at one time.
We're running it up.
Football is
You
back.
got 4
Wednesday's
TVs.
show tomorrow, and we have got
We're messy right now.
8 days until Tennessee football tomorrow.
We'll get control
Get
of the show,
excited,
dog.
kids.
No,
We're
get
getting control.
of the
Come
show.
on.
Get
Now the
control of
station's
the
going to
show,
lose
Will.
control.
Get
Buck
control
Rising
of the
coming up
show,
next.
Will. Get
Goodbye.
control of the show. And remember,
Your Twitter finger is all.
Wait,
this is awful.
your mic wasn't hot.